Alexis here, coming to you with an awesome sale of 25% off when you use promo code OHURU25 at alexisfowler.com. I provide services like digital art, logo designs, packaging designs, web designs, social media flyers, and much more. If you're an entrepreneur with a business or a startup company, make sure you take advantage of this opportunity, getting 25% off when you use promo code OHURU25 at alexisfowler.com.
Peace, family. I hope all is well. I hope you're Thursday. Today is Thursday already, guys. We are already in November. We are already in November. Funny how times fly. I will serenade y'all. I mean, I would sing in serenade and bless you guys with this beautiful voice, but not today. Maybe later, maybe later on during the show, I might bless you guys and sing for you all, but not right now. But do me a favor, hit the like button again. Please hit the like button. Also, make sure you share and make sure you subscribe. Guys, I appreciate the support. It really means a lot. Again, it really means a lot. Got a couple of announcements. Y'all, we are rolling. We listen, guys, don't you get it's whenever I get ready to fly out and I'm at the airport, right? I live in Atlanta and I fly out of Hartsfield Jackson. When we travel, we usually travel. We leave out of JFK or we leave out of once every blue moon. Even in the past, we've left out of here out of Hartsfield Jackson. The Nigeria trip we did in 2021, we flew out of Hartsfield Jackson, flew on Delta. And then I know when we go to Sierra Leone in about 3 weeks, the group is flying out of Newark, New Jersey on Air Brussels. So Newark to Belgium, then Belgium to Freetown. But for the most part, the majority of the time we fly out of JFK. Again, the majority of the time we fly out of JFK. But it's like whenever I get ready to travel, um, and travel out of the country, and when I get to the airport, I just get like this adrenaline rush. It's like this excitement. It's like this excitement I get. Like it's this excitement and joy um, that I get. This feeling, this warm, just rush, this feeling that I get when I'm at the airport and I know I'm about to fly and head to Africa. It's a beautiful feeling, and I still get it from like the first time I flew to the continent in 2011. That's when I was in LA. So I flew out of LAX, flew British Airways, well, American Airlines, or was it British Airways? One of the two. I know they're co-share from LA all the way to the UK, the Heathrow. Then from Heathrow to Dar es Salaam. And I just remember that feeling I got, just of excitement. And I still get this feeling. I love it. I love it. It's something, I'm trying to describe, but I really can't just put it in words. Like if you've traveled, especially when you're going to Africa, you know the feeling. It's just, I love airports. I really, really love airports, especially a nice airport. So my favorite, and I just love being in an airport, hopping out my cab or my car with my bags, checking in, can't stand security, but hey, you got to go through it. And then, I love when I'm able to arrive to an airport early just to feel and see the airport, especially a nice airport. Like my favorite airports. I mean, Heathrow Jackson is cool. Is it Hartfield? I'm tripping. Heathrow Jackson. Hartfield Jackson. I'm tripping. Hartfield Jackson is cool. It's cool. But I'm so used to that airport. That's where I fly out of. When I was working for Cintas, when I did sales for Cintas, the airport was my sales territory. So I had access to the airport, to all the terminals. So I had like a badge. I would go to security, and I could walk around all the terminals and do my sales thing. So I'm used to Hartsville Jackson, but I like JFK, the Delta terminal. I like the Delta terminal. I like the Delta terminal at JFK. I enjoy going to Sky Club. You know, Sky Club is cool. Just chilling out, lounging. I love to eat. Go eat. It's just I love nice airports. My favorite airports, though, I love Heathrow in London, and I love Charles de Gaulle in Paris, and I love the airport in Cape Town. Love the airport in Cape Town. In fact, the airport in Cape Town is probably my favorite airport. Love the airport in Cape Town. Now, once you get to West Africa, the airports ain't really nothing to go home about. They're fly in and fly out. Nothing really to be excited about. Just as far as being happy that you landed in Senegal or Sierra Leone or wherever you're going, and then fly out. They're really not. It's really nothing there. Like I said, and then I don't enjoy. So when I fly to Africa, I try my best. There we go. I try my best to fly direct from America to Africa, depending on the circumstances. When we go to Zanzibar, so we're going to Zanzibar. We leave in about 10 days, 10 days. We leave on November 12th. We'll leave on November 12th, and I'm looking forward to that trip. Looking forward to that trip. And so we're flying direct. So Kenya Airways flies direct from JFK to Nairobi. Right. Kenya Airways flies direct from JFK to Nairobi. Then Nairobi to Zanzibar. So I want to say that's not the longest flight I've ever been on. The longest flight I've ever been on, my first trip to Senegal. I flew Turkish Airlines out of LA. And I flew from LA. Direct to Istanbul. And that was a long flight. But the flight from JFK to Nairobi, that's a pretty long flight too. But I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, I love traveling, especially to Africa. We got a couple cool groups. We're going to Zanzibar. Then I got to meet the group at Sierra Leone for citizenship ceremony. Eligible for everybody who's getting their passports. Even if you're not eligible to get your passport, if you still want to come to join us in Sierra Leone, you can still come join us. And listen, even if you are, I can't promise anything. I cannot promise anything when it comes to Zanzibar. But I might have a spot for Zanzibar next week, one spot. So if you're interested in joining us in Zanzibar, go to danfo.africa. That's DANFO.Africa. Again, that's DANFO.Africa. Again, if you're interested in joining us in Zanzibar, I might have a spot, but I definitely have about Chris Connors, you're more than welcome to call in about 30 minutes. More than welcome to call in. And you can tell me how, you make Wesley Snipes look light-skinned, but you're Native American. You could explain how that happened. How we take a DNA test. In fact, we'll get to that later. But anyways, guys, we're rolling to Sierra Leone as well, November 21st through December 3rd. Citizenship is available to those who qualify. But even if you're not eligible for citizenship, if you want to come and join us in Sierra Leone and have a great time and visit one of the greatest beaches on the planet, most beautiful beaches on the planet, River Number Two, which is my promised land. You know, I told everybody River Number Two is my promised land. You guys can have Israel. I got River Number Two. Like I said, some fresh lobster, best lobster you ever have in your life. Beautiful women in bikinis. Coconut jollof rice that would make your mouth water. Again, coconut jollof rice that would make your mouth water. Listen, WM Mustafa know what I'm talking about. He's been in Sierra Leone with me. He came to Sierra Leone with me 2 years ago, roughly. Or was it a year ago? No, it was 2022, right? Spring? Was it spring? Yeah, it was spring 2022, I believe. He came to Sierra Leone with me. Even got him a wife now over there. He still hasn't sent me the wedding pictures. Wally, send me the wedding pictures. Brother got a wife over there, got a home over there now. Yeah, it was 2022. It was spring 2022. Well, yeah, if you want to roll with us, go to danfo.africa. That's DANFO .Africa. We will love to have you. Come and join us and enjoy the African continent. Again, come and enjoy the African continent. We will love, 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 love to have you. We said the Moose Foreskin tribe is in the chat room. So yeah, but guys, hit the like button. Also, make sure you share and make sure you subscribe. I want to pull something up real quick. All right, let me pull this up. Give me a second. I gotta log in. What's my login? Oh boy, what's my login? Guys, give me a second because I'm gonna have to probably. Oh, let me see. I can sign in with Google. Let me see if that works. Account not connected. Okay, that ain't gonna work. Okay, hold on. Guys, give me a second. Let me I wanna show you guys something. It's just okay, here we go. What's mine? Remember this device? Okay, I'm in. I think I'm in. There we go. I'm in. No, I don't want that. DNA, your results summary. Let's see here. Let's pull this up real quick. There we go. Bam. Let me share my screen, guys. Let me share my screen. I want to show this to you guys. All right, guys. These are my DNA results. All right. This is from Ancestry.com. All right. This is from Ancestry.com. Okay. So, Nigeria, 32%. Cameroon, Congo, and Western Bantu peoples, 25%. Benin and Togo, 11%. Senegal, 6%. Mali, 6%. Cote d'Ivoire and Ghana, 6%. And this is what I want to focus on right here. All right. Scotland, 5%. Ireland, 3%. England and Northwestern Europe, 2%. Wales, 2%. So that's 5, 8, 10, 12. So 12% of me is European. Then here we go. Indigenous Americas, Bolivia, and Peru. 1%. Just 1%. So Native America, well, that's South America, still America. Native American, Indian, Aboriginal, Indigenous Americas is 1%. Then we got Norway, 1%. So really, the European admixture is 13%. Indigenous is just 1%. Guys, the average Black American here in America, ADOS FBA, they have a European admixture. They have a European admixture average of like 20%. Mine is 13. Way more European admixture than anything linking back to any indigenous Aboriginal tribe. So the question becomes, why aren't you guys claiming the white side? Why aren't you guys claiming the white side? You guys completely skip over the European white side to claim this 1% of indigenous Aboriginal America. In fact, you completely skip. So you skip over the 99%. We'll just say roughly 80% African, 20% white European. I'm sorry, 13%. We'll say 80% non-Native American, 99% non-Native American. So a lot of you guys are like 70% African, 20 or 79% African, 20% European. You then got 1% Native American. And you want to talk about that? You are a Native American, Cherokee, Choctaw, Blackfoot, but you're right because you're right. Your feet are black. Indigenous to the plains of North Dakota. Indigenous to the snow of Buffalo, New York. Indigenous to the snow of Detroit, Michigan. Indigenous to the snow of Minnesota. I mean, you guys would make more sense if you just claim being indigenous. I don't know if you just claim your white side. Your majority, you have more white admixture. You have more white admixture than you do anything native. And this is across the board, any Black American. In fact, I'm more black because, like I said, the average Black American, like their European is like 20%. Some cases like 25. I'm only 13. Somebody said, MJ, you take those DNA tests seriously? Shoot, when your ass is on Jerry Springer, and Jerry Springer says you are not the father, you take that shit seriously. When you've been paying child support, when you've been paying child support for 3 years, and then you got to go through the court system to get what's the word? Not validated. What's the word when you got what's the term they use? Not certified. Basically, when they make you take the DNA test to see if the child is yours. Legitimacy. I'm sorry, legitimacy, whatever it's called. You take the DNA test seriously, then here we go. I do not have to do DNA. My family heritage is real. We know who we are. See, that's what I'm talking about. These folks don't want to deal with reality. Leave these Native Americans alone. Just leave them alone. God, let them enjoy their Native American culture. All right. We ain't got to steal everything. Why? Hold on. Can I zoom this in? Let me see if I can zoom this in. Give me a second. Can I zoom this in? Oh, here we go. Here we go. Y'all, what is wrong? What is wrong with being sub-Saharan African? What's wrong? Why are you guys so ashamed of being part of this, originating from this part of the globe right here? I don't get it. Why are you so ashamed? I mean, we got folks saying we from here. Well, Israel's Northeast Africa. You know, it's just, why are you so ashamed? We got folks saying they're hold on. We got folks saying that they're indigenous to some of the coldest places on the planet. Man, we are indigenous to North Dakota. We got black folks saying they are indigenous to North Dakota, to Detroit. This area right here is some of the coldest, is one of the coldest places on the planet, and you guys want to lay claim to ice. We are indigenous to Maine, Buffalo, New York. Why are you so ashamed? What is wrong from just being, hey, this is where we come from, right here. This is the reality. This is where we come from. This is where we come from right here. Let me zoom back in. This is where we come from, right here. Right here. Why are you so ashamed? Why are we so ashamed of being from sub-Saharan Africa? We want to completely skip this. We want to say we're from Kemet. We're from Israel, aka Northeast Africa. Then when that don't sound sexy enough, we indigenous to Maine. Why? It don't add up. It's okay. Like, it is okay to be sub-Saharan Africa. Like, it is okay to be sub-Saharan Africa. You don't have to be ashamed. I know you guys think that Israel and the United States of America is are the winning team right now. You guys feel as if the United States of America and Israel, because of how powerful they are, that they're winning right now, and you want to be a part of the winning team. So you come up with all these conspiracy theories, from the DNA's fake to I got good hair. My hair, I got good hair. So since my hair, I got good hair. I got Indian in my family. I got Indian in my blood. In the Bible, it says that, slave ships are in the Bible. So we from Israel. I get it. Okay. You want to be a part of the winning team. So you got to create all of these conspiracy theories. You got to create all these conspiracy theories. In the Bible, it says that we're going to be on slave ships, and scattered. So therefore, I'm from Israel. Northeast Africa. I got Indian. My grandma, mama told me that we got good hair, so we Indian. Okay. All right. Okay. It's just being sub-Saharan African isn't sexy enough. I get it. So we're gonna bring up Elizabeth Warren, who a pretendian, like the vast majority. I'm gonna say 99% of you black folks who are claiming to be Indians. All right, that's what y'all got in common. She's pretendian, just like you, and she sounds just like y'all. Okay, when it comes to her claiming to be a pretendian or Native American, but she's really a pretendian. Let's pull up Elizabeth Warren. This is how you guys sound like. A lot of you guys.
Why did you list yourself as an American Indian on this Texas bar application?
So this was about 30 years ago, and I am not a tribal citizen. Tribes and only tribes determine citizenship. When I was growing up in Oklahoma, I learned about my family the same way most people do. My brothers and I learned from our mom and our dad and our brothers and our sisters, and those were our family stories. Uh, but that said, there really is an important distinction of tribal citizenship. I am not a member of a tribe, and I have apologized for not being more sensitive to that distinction. It's an important distinction.
The president has made the case that you've used this part of your background to get ahead. Are you saying that this is something you fundamentally believed about yourself, or how do you respond to that criticism that this was a knowing attempt to get ahead by using that claim of ancestry?
So that is a claim that has been fully investigated, and it has now been shown completely that nothing about my background ever had anything to do with any job I got in any place. It's been fully documented, and there's no evidence of any kind other than it had nothing to do. My background had nothing to do.
Are there any more documents or any more forms like this out there that you have listed yourself as that could come out?
Look, this is who I grew up believing with my brothers. This is our family.
This is how y'all sound like. Well, my grandma, mama, and them told me that since I got good hair, that we Cherokee. This is how you guys sound like. My grandma, mama told me that she heard that since you know, we got straight hair. Well, my grandma, mom, they had good hair. They had good hair. So that means we Choctaw because she had some good hair. This is how you guys sound like. This is how you guys sound like. I'm telling you. Well, I saw a picture of my great grandmama, and her hair was pressed with a hot comb, but see, it wasn't really a hot comb because her hair was naturally straight. So I know someone lied to me and told me that her hair was pressed with a hot comb, but I don't believe it. Her hair is really that naturally straight. So that means that she is a part of the Choctaw Indian tribe. So we Choctaw Indian. You guys sound just like her. My family, friend, this family. But in reality, like I said, somebody said, "Nine is my family." Hold on. What you say? Well, and that's what I'm saying, Jay. Is let me pull this back up, and this is the point I'm trying to make. Don't skip over the white part. If we go to acknowledge all bloodlines, be white too. Be white too. Hold on, let me pull it back up. Hopefully, I ain't logged out. Here we go. If we're gonna acknowledge all the bloodlines, that's what I'm saying. Don't just acknowledge the 1% that happens to be native. Acknowledge the white folks as well. That's all I'm saying. Hold on. This is the part I'm trying. Hold on. Give me a second. Let me pull this back up. This is important. Let me pull this back up. So what I'm saying, okay, if we're going to use the argument, let's acknowledge all the bloodlines. Okay, because again, the average Black American, ADOS FBA, okay, you have roughly 20 to 25% on the average European admixture in you. Okay? So don't skip the white part. Don't skip. Hold on, let's zoom this in. Don't skip the Norway, the English, the England, the Scotland, the Ireland, Wales, Iceland, Norway. Don't skip this part just to claim the 1%, because that's the claim. Okay, you know what? I'm indigenous to America as well. Dynasty Mir is an Aboriginal from Peru and Bolivia because 1% right here. Okay, this 1%, indigenous Americas, Bolivia, and Peru. I'm going to start claiming that I'm indigenous. Again, I'm going to start claiming that I'm indigenous Peruvian and Bolivian. So that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Claim the white part too. If you want to be sexy and I'm an Aboriginal to America, okay, claim the European part too. I'll respect that. That's all I'm saying. Y'all skip the 20% white to claim the 1% Native American. That's all I'm saying. All right, links in the chat room. If you're going to call in and add to the conversation, you're more than welcome to call in and add to the conversation. So, Chris, I took a DNA test with African ancestry. Okay. I can't find my results around here somewhere. I took a DNA test with African ancestry. My matriarchal side, maternal side came back Sierra Leone. I was able to go to Sierra Leone and get my passport. So it's recognized. I'm recognized as an African. Second Exodus. My Israel is North Africa brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for having me. And yeah, I mean, you probably, I mean, I don't know what your haplogroup is, but you're probably originating from Northeast Africa as well. So,
No, I'm not.
we don't know. We don't know. I mean, do you know your haplogroup?
Well, this right here. Well, all I know is I took a DNA test with African ancestry. It came back Sierra Leone. I was able to get my citizenship with Sierra Leone. So
Yeah, I get that. And you know, that's what they did was they checked more than likely checked your haplogroup. They didn't check. So what they do is they match your haplogroups with other people who share the same haplogroup.
right. So you just said I know if I know my haplogroup. So I guess I do.
Well, no, they don't tell you. They don't tell you on there. What they do is they look on it. They see if it says haplogroup E or something like that. Then they say congratulations, you're with the Temne people or something like that.
Right.
If
So that's the
if
haplogroup, right?
that's the haplogroup, but they never tell you on the results because I have African ancestry also, so I had to go.
Hold on, let me see something. I gotta find my results, but
Yeah, and when you find your results, and if it has YAP plus, that is a protein marker that only originated in Asia. That's why the out of Asia theory exists. And a lot of they call it a Bantu expansion. Some scientists say that it branched out of the Niger Congo Cameroon region and spread all over Africa. Other theories say that it migrated out of Northeast Africa, migrating from the Middle East down into Egypt, throughout North Africa, down into
yeah,
East
Black
Africa.
American. We don't have no Northeast African haplogroups.
Well, that's just a location. That's like saying, there's no Southern United States haplogroup. It's just a location.
Casanova, go ahead.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'm a Blackfoot red bone Indian, and
From
I'm not from
Chicago.
no Africa.
From Chicago. You from Chicago?
No, but for real, why do we gotta keep using the word sub-Saharan? Like,
I
what's
mean,
up with
listen,
that,
I
bro?
ain't got listen.
That's a
Listen.
white man's term.
That's my tribe. I'm sub-Saharan. That's my
Hey,
tribe. I don't
hey,
care.
hey, dig this though. It's black people all over Africa, like it's always been. And we ain't gonna mitigate ourselves to below the Sahara. We was in North Africa. And we still are. We still are.
Facts.
Yeah, but
But we're not the majority in North Africa.
We've been
definitely
pushed out.
not. Definitely not now, unfortunately. But I got hope for the future.
Never was.
Listen, I'm happy with sub-Saharan Africa. You can have North Africa. I'm happy with sub-Saharan Africa.
Well, a white man coined that term, right?
Well, yeah, Arab men are white men, so
Yeah. And they coined the term sub-Saharan. They also coined the term Bantu. There's no such thing as Bantu people.
right, because
Okay, well, if that's the case, there's no such thing as Northeast Africa
Okay.
or Israel, because all that was coined Hebrew. That was all coined too.
Well, no, not in the same way. All the stuff you're talking about is like 18th, 17th century type of stuff. It's real recent. I mean, they needed to justify evolution, and they went throughout Africa after carving it all up into different boundaries. Then they started justifying evolution, saying, "Oh, these Egyptians, they couldn't have been black people that built this civilization." So they started coming up with all kinds of stories and stuff. Today, we can debunk just about all those stories.
did you say justifying evolution?
Yeah, so if you go to Blumenbach and Charles Darwin, they were coming up with ideas of saying that humans evolved from monkeys.
They
And
never
so,
said humans evolved from monkeys.
what I'm saying is that it comes from that theory of evolution where first
I
human.
want you to take a real good look at my advent, my profile picture. People like you are real delusional. I think you're real counterproductive. And if I was a dictator, I'd hold public executions right before I ate my breakfast and had people's head like yours chopped off.
Oh, come on, oh, bro, come on. Okay, guys, listen. The
Yeah, I'm not
views
entertaining that.
of Casanova are not the views of In Search of Who.
I'm just kidding, my brother. I'm just kidding. No,
Just be serious for once. So you got folks over here
yeah. On
dying
a
in other
serious
countries.
note, on a more serious note, they never said that humans came from monkeys. We share a common ancestor as monkeys and other
Finally, something we agree on.
So it's not like they were just making up BS.
They were making up BS.
I mean, this stuff can be proven. It's scientific fact that we are a part of the animal kingdom. We're not special, brother.
I'm not saying that we're not physical beings. No, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that at all.
Well, I didn't
I'm,
say anything about physical or anything. I just said we're part of the animal kingdom.
well, that's
So
what I'm talking about.
yeah. So I mean, so it's not bizarre that they would say that, we share a common ancestor as monkeys.
All right, let's pass to the Africulture concepts. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. Peace to the chat. Peace to brother Donis. Yeah, y'all said some crazy stuff, bro. Like, if you know anything about languages, you would know in the Bantu language, the word for a person or a man is Abantu.
I know.
Okay, that's totally asinine what y'all talking about, saying it's made up. And sub-Saharan Africa, I know you I know y'all like to use excuses and shit and say that's colonial, but it is what it is. Like a brother like Diners that been to Africa multiple times, he probably been to North African countries too. And
Morocco.
sub-Saharan, say that again.
Morocco.
Yep. See, he been to Morocco. Sub-Saharan Africa is where blacks always been. You know what I'm saying? In North Africa, you got Italian looking types. They always been there, bro. Just deal
That's
with
not
it.
true. That's
Yeah.
now. They
Okay,
were
bro.
they
Don't.
are
I have not interrupted you. Now let me talk, bro. I let you spew all that BS. But Italian types, they are not Tufian North Africans. They been there. You know what I'm saying? Black folks being in the tropics. Yeah, black folks migrated from North Africa, like in the Green Sahara. When it started to dry up, they went back south. Now, if that's what you want to say, okay, fine. But on the tip, the edge, in like Morocco, the North Coast, them Natufian types always been there, bro. Get over it. You know what I'm
Hannibal
saying? But
Barca was a black man. I'm sorry.
okay,
Yeah,
well,
he was Carthaginian, and he was also, that means he was a
The,
Canaanite.
yeah,
He was
that
well,
that was
Phoenician
North Africa.
Canaanite.
Canaanites ain't black neither. So
That,
whatever.
that
Look,
was North
I'm glad he
Africa.
brought up the Tufians. Hey, Donis, if you're able to, could you look up the haplogroup of a Natufian and see what it is? It's going to match up.
Natufians are E1B1B,
There you go. So how
typical
can you?
North African paternal haplogroups. It doesn't make any sense. All that shows is that at one time, most West African men and most North African men, they derive from a similar ancestor, paternal ancestor.
There
That's
you go.
all, and that should show you
Yeah,
that race haplogroup doesn't indicate race at all. You know what
exactly.
I'm saying? All it shows is where your lineage originated from.
There
You
you
know what I'm
go.
saying?
That's
So,
all I'm saying. I
but
agree with you on that.
yeah. If you agree with me, then
On
you need
that.
to accept the fact that North Africans ain't black.
No, that
You just
look, you
need to
keep
accept
using
that.
look, you keep using black, you keep using sub-Saharan
Okay,
black.
well,
Can't
they
do
not
it.
tropical. They
No,
not the tropical types
The
like you.
cave art in North Africa is different. So you saying they were, white tan people, and the cave art says they were black people. So until you can
No, I also said that Africans with tropical elongated features, like like typical sub-Saharans, they migrated from the north after the Green Sahara dried up. The desertification of the Green Sahara, that's when they started to flood, come back south. They started to flood the south, and you can see that in
went north.
hold on, bro. You can look at old archaeological sites in southern Mauritania where black agro pastoralists began to build cities back in 2600 BC. What is called now it's called Tikrit. That is like the precursor of ancient Ghana. Okay, when the Sahara started to dry up, that's when they came a little further south, and then they set up the kingdom of Ghana, the ancient Ghana kingdom. Not it wasn't
Why
called
do you
Ghana,
think
but
they only went south?
I'm sorry.
Why do you believe that they only went south? You don't think they went north as well?
I don't believe it. It shows
So
it's
how did
plenty scholarly resources
how
to
did
show you
Black
that they
Hannibal
went
Barca get
south.
to the north then?
Well, first off, you can see the cultural continuity from this old culture, this old ancient Tikrit culture. They used to grow the same. They started growing the same crops, millet, sorghum, stuff like that. Then they had the same. They had the same architecture. They built the same type of buildings. Those minaret buildings that go up real high and they look like little castles or whatever. And they had like little brick fortresses. They had the same type of architecture. That went down to Ghana. So you can basically tell you can tell by different things, not just making stuff up like y'all doing. You know what I'm saying?
How am I making up the fact that
I don't know who you
60%?
talking about.
Yeah, I have no idea. Look,
Well,
you're
let me do
focused.
this.
You're focused too much on skin color, man.
Let me
Skin
let me
color
pass,
has nothing to do with haplogroup.
let me pass it to Black Beauty. Go ahead, Black Beauty. Unmute yourself.
Hey,
Hey.
so I came up because somebody was saying that the African ancestry didn't provide your haplogroup, and I'm reading mine on the results.
You're reading the mitochondria. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're L0, L1, L2, L4, 5, and 6, then you have indigenous mitochondrial ancestry from Africa. If you're L3E, your haplogroup originated outside of Africa but migrated back down into Africa.
But that's not what I saw when I did the research. My haplogroup is L3E2B, and what I found was
Yep.
that my people were Chadic people that
Yep.
came down and around, and then they never left Africa. They came
They
from
stayed
Chad
in Africa. Yep.
down to the east, then they came through like the Congo, and they came up to Nigeria. Now they're Hausa Fulani people.
That's right. That's
And
right.
I look just like them. So
That's correct. I'm glad you said that. I think I remember talking to you before, but
yeah.
my mitochondrial haplogroup is also L3E2B3. So we're
Okay.
actually distantly related. What I'm
Oh,
what I'm also
what's your sequence similarity? Mine is 100%. What's yours?
100%
Okay.
Fulani and Yoruba. That's what it
Okay.
says on African ancestry.
Mine says Hausa Fulani from the
Yeah.
north. Yeah.
And it was interesting because I spoke with an Igbo man years ago, and I said, "Hey, man, I'm Hausa Fulani and Bamileke and Iwando on my dad's side, and not Hausa, Yoruba and Fulani on my mom's side." He's like, "That's impossible."
All that could
Dude,
be happening like that.
yeah, he said that's
Well, you know
impossible.
what I learned as well? I was
Mhm.
doing some research last year on slavevoyages.org, which you guys should take a look on that site. And what I found was that almost 60% of the young Nigerian boys that they took from Apapa, Badagry, and all those areas, they just categorized them as Igbo. But most of them were Hausas that they had captured from the north that were brought down by other slave owners and traded off in Badagry. So most of the time you see EEBO on the records because they didn't even know how to spell it. And
Right.
most of the records have like it says Igbo, whereas we know that it probably wasn't just Igbo people that were going out of the port. So most of it's like Igbo, Yoruba, or like they say Odua or whatever, Odudwa or whatever. And that's what they have on there. They don't, and then there's a list of Hausa. There's maybe about 33 families of Hausas that were taking out of Badagry. What I found with my family when I did the research for our last name and kind of how we pulled it is that we may not have gone through. So like there's no records for my family that go through Sierra Leone. I found out that we may have been sold through Tripoli, wherever the fuck that is. Is
That's
that
in
up in
North
the north?
Africa. That's in
Yeah,
Tunisia.
Yeah.
that's in
So
North
like we were
Africa.
sold through Tripoli into Europe and then came over from it's weird how it happened,
I know.
but it's like I don't have any records that take me out of Africa from like a proper place. Everything is taking me through there hundreds of years ago.
Right. That's
Do,
because
do,
the
do,
history is long. I'll
do
go
you
ahead and let you speak.
do
Go
you
ahead.
have any men in your family that's R1B since they hustler?
I don't I have to ask my cousins, but when I came back from Nigeria last year for my grandma's funeral, everybody was talking about how they were Nigerian. They were like, yo, my cousins in Nigeria. They're like, how is it? And then I was like, so what did you find? So I'm gonna ask them what their results are because all my family did their African ancestry. Everybody found out they were Nigerian. I don't know their exact haplogroups, but I'll ask them. That's on my grandma's side. Now I'm gonna go to my dad, he's Jamaican, and I'm gonna do his for him. And I want to see where he thought because he thought he was from Ghana. So I'm gonna have him do his as well. But he will probably find that he's Nigerian, right?
Right.
Well, let
And
me pass it to Matt. Go ahead, Matt. Unmute yourself, Matt. Matt,
Hey, what's going on, Donis?
what's going on?
Hi, everybody.
yo,
I usually tune
Peace.
into peace to you. I usually tune into your show a lot. I usually like watching a lot about these topics about African people's presence around the globe. What we as diaspora have to do to get ourselves out of the rut that we're in to get back to where we need to be. But I guess like what I'm curious about is, why.
Did we lose him?
Yeah, I
Hello?
think so. He cut off.
Yeah. Go ahead, Ola.
Oh,
Unmute
my bad.
yourself,
Can you still
Ola.
hear me?
Yeah, Matt, that you?
Yeah. Sorry about that. I kind of went out, but yeah. Yeah. I guess like, well, I was gonna ask a real question to one question to hop off. My question was like, why is it that Black folks like why are they so obsessed with trying to connect with like Native Americans and people over in the Americas versus just like trying to reconnect with people in Africa? Like, I believe Second Exodus was talking about like in what's her name? Black Beauty. They're all pretty much like talking about, hey, like we did our DNA testing and it traces back to like West Africa. If the DNA is showing that you're more likely, you have more connection to like Africa, like specifically like West Africa, then why is it that people are like, oh no, I was here since like the 15th century, I'm Native American? And I'm like, okay, so how come you still don't like at least have some trace of that culture or that language? Like, there's like hundreds and thousands of Native American tribes. Like, you can say, oh, you're Arawak or you're Cherokee or something like that, but if you don't really have a connection to that, then I guess I'm just like curious about why we're so
Well,
like connected to that.
my guys, hit the like button. If you're in the chat room, please hit that like button again. Please hit the like button. My theory is, and I was having a conversation with my Ghanaian friend on this. She said the reason why Black people, specifically Black Americans, are claiming to be Native American or claiming to be from Israel is because America and Israel are two of the most powerful countries in the world, and they want to be attached to that power.
She's
Yeah,
wrong.
I can get that, but it's like, what have you gained from those countries? Like America, like we've been here for like almost 400 years.
Matt, for the Israelites, it's this prophecy that one day God's gonna come back and remove the fake so-called Hebrews, and the Black Hebrews gonna rule, and then
Well, we gonna be waiting forever.
right, and then in America, I've heard everything from they're going to take their case to the UN, and the UN is going to tell the white man that this is not their land, and that the Black man is the real owner of America. And
Right.
I've heard all types of weird shit. So
and I think I've asked this question before when I was on. You probably didn't remember my YouTube name, but a question was like, what is it going to take for like people together to like just come together to like try to at least build something similar to like, I know it sounds crazy, something like Wakanda, like in Africa. I know it sounds like a fantasy, so that's dumb, but it's like, we need to put ourselves on the world stage now. There's so many things happening in the world right now. We're still having these like debates and arguments about, oh, I was a Native American, or oh, I was an Olmec, or I don't know, I was a Black Japanese samurai or some shit.
yeah,
it's like we need to like, now as a people, it's time. Like, we've had all the teachers from John Henrik Clark, from Amos Wilson, from like Kwame Ture, Brother Malcolm. Like, we've had so many different people tell us what we need to do, and we're still like having this argument. That's just what I'm like confused about. I'm 27. I'm still learning about all this stuff, man. Like, honestly, there's nothing more that I want to do now than try to at least visit the continent one time, But
I don't know. To your point, and this is just a quick comment from me about this, like, I don't know why anyone who is Black of a melanated pigmentation in their right mind would grab the history of a Native American when the history of an African is way
That's
more.
That's what I'm saying. You
makes
look more.
Sense. Please explain it, y'all. Where's Michonne? Because I know she has the answer.
Like, I guarantee you, if I do a DNA test right now, I'm pretty certain that it'll probably be somewhere in West Africa. Like, my mother's Jamaican. I come from a Jamaican background, and my father
guaranteed
is from Costa Rica, but his grandmother is from Jamaica. So it's like, where do you think those Jamaicans came from? Most likely from West
guaranteed,
Africa.
Sir. That's a fact.
I don't even think I have to do a DNA test to like.
You don't even have to. You know what? I told my friend, I was like, my dad's Jamaican. He was like, oh yeah, all your Jamaicans are Nigerian. Okay.
Exactly.
It's not done
Most
for you.
likely. My uncle
That's
did
a
a
fact.
DNA test and it traced it like back to Nigeria, like Central Africa.
Hey, can I
He
can
said
I
somewhere in Egypt, but I'm not 100% sure about that part. But yeah, no,
can
go
I
ahead.
can I share a quick reference on page 246 on the Lost Tribes and Myth? It says that the facts have a peculiar significance when the presence of Judaism among American Negroes is to be considered. Hundreds of thousands of slaves were brought to America from this Western Africa during the days of the traffic beginning nearly 400 years ago. How much more of Judaism survived amongst West African Negroes in that earlier time? As persecuted communities, they were rather more in danger than other Negroes of being raided by war parties and sold as slaves. It may be considered certain that many partially Judaized Negroes were among the slaves brought to America. That's just one paragraph. But
Judaized Negroes.
yeah, because there's more information. That's why I said there's no, listen. There's more information. I'm not going to share everything, but
That
but
means they went through the process of conversion.
I agree. Let me just say this: there was Black Portuguese Jews that were traders, and they went down to Africa when they were being heavily persecuted in Spain and Portugal. They met up with other Africans. Some of them were Africans, meaning they weren't Jews, and some of them were West African Jews that were there in the area.
Lies.
So you're saying that it was some Hebrew like Africans that
Yes,
came down to West Africa and
through Morocco.
and was working with like
They were white.
the European
Oh my
colonial
God.
guys, like the Portuguese, the Dutch, and they all pretty much was like portraying the West, like African populations down there, and help sell them into slavery. That's what you're saying?
All
No,
that shit's written down in the Tariq Sudan, bro.
All of
Those
it is
were
bullshit. All of it
Jews
is
from
fake.
Morocco, bro.
None of
Those
it
were
is
Jews.
true.
Come
It
on,
happened. It happened, but they wasn't black.
no,
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
look,
what does
like
that
you
have
all.
to do with this? Like,
It has
if
every,
it's
because during that time in this, I got another reference. It's from Amsterdam. It was talking about how they switched the Sephardic Jewish racial identity from black to white, and they did that so that all the Sephardic Jews that were getting expelled and they were called non-protected Jews.
They were
They were
using the word black.
yes.
wait,
That's where
so
we get the
I
word.
wanted
That's
to
where we
add.
get the word Negro from.
Yeah, Negro, from what I understand, is a Spanish.
It
The
is.
Spanish word is like,
It
yeah,
it
negro.
is.
Like,
If you
it's a Spanish word.
what they
Just take
did.
the ill, bro.
No.
Yeah,
Listen.
let me pass it to
All right.
Ola. Oh,
Go
go
ahead. Go
ahead,
ahead.
Ola. Unmute yourself, Ola. Go ahead,
Yes,
Ola.
thank you very much, Dan, for your channel, and I'm happy. You see, sometimes it wonder me how people want to create history from far. I'm an African, Nigeria. I live in Nigeria. Um, what happened in the slave trade? They see some footprints in Nigeria, Calabar, Kwabon, Anambra, Imo, then Lagos, Ogun State. So we and some of the Caribbean still use some of these names, special Jamaicans and Trinidad and Tobago still use some words, Akara, still use some words that they were using before they shipped them to all these places, Yorubas, Brazils, and all these things. All this down to Peru. Black Americans are not created differently. You see, when you mix with people, you live with people. I know my grandfather, great grandfather, named 60 something, from 60 something, 60 something years ago, which is about 600 years. It's not too far. We're not talking about 3,000 years, 5,000 years. We're talking about not too far, 16, 17, 18. The above Benin, above Orame was beheaded inside 18 something. It's not too far. So how can you just change your identity overnight? I think it's the culture of United States also. And that culture is, there's a say United States, if you can't get it, buy it.
Be
So
all that you can be.
so you cannot have it if you don't want to belong to this group. Buy where you say you want you from. Okay, you're not Indian. I'm Indian. I'm Indian. You will continue repeating it to yourself. You're not become an Indian. The white man never lie where they took Africans from. It's been stated. That is one thing I believe them. These guys, they lie. West Africa coast, all the way to coast of Guinea, to when we coast of Guinea is Nigeria, to Ghana, then Senegal. Get the lie. Do your DNA. Stop deceiving people. Then you are mixed with a white man who was a master at that time. And you see, no, even Africans, even we call some of our rich people masters. Because they copyrighted from these white people. You know, Jordan said is some black Americans are that also calling the white man masters. So your identity, as I'm Indian, is what it is. This happened not intentionally, and it was educational system, whereby these children will be in school. Then this white teacher said that will said, "Oh, you see, Africans are hungry, eh? Thank God you're not Africans. You poor Americans, or you poor Surinams, or you poor Italian. You poor not hungry, eh? And the Jamaicans, you poor Jamaicans, the Africans there, they're very hungry. It was intentionally. You see, when this is being passed on to you, then you start hearing people say that's the problem Haiti face up to today. Well, why people hate the Asian people is because the Haiti people will be demonized heavily in media. Even the Jamaicans even started hating them. So that's also what happened to Africans. The black Americans, because we'll be taught this in school, Africa are hungry people, start showing pictures, start showing things that are not really true. Then this hatred started coming slowly. No, I don't want to do with Zimbabwe. I know them Zimbabwe. I know them because they cannot even mention Nigeria. I know them this. I don't want to be that people with porky belly and everything. They start talking about AIDS. BBC, Voice of America, starts so Africa have AIDS. Africa have, which just lie. Most Nigerians that contact AIDS come from Europe to Nigeria. Not even in Nigeria. So this is educationally being purposely being done to lower us down, to demonize us, and perfect to use people that look, their causes that look like them. So now you ain't African, you're Black American. You don't look like Africa, you're Black America. You don't look like Africa, you're Suriname. You don't look like Africa, you're Aruba. You don't look like Africa. So this is purposely being done. So you hating on Africa is already been installed in your head for a very long time.
Yeah, that's a lot. I'm sorry.
So if you meet some Black Americans, you say, "Hey, what's up, bro?" Then you answer you're an African way back in the 90s. Man, they'll be very cold on you. Forget it. They don't want to do it. You don't even want to talk to you. Or except when they're in trouble at that time. They start calling, "Oh, my bro, oh, my brother, man. Oh, bro, man, this guy doing to me, man. Hey, bro, this is your fucking brother, man. Fuck off." You know, I deal with these things, man. I know these things. Even the women, South Carolina, that are as black as Africans, North Carolina that are black as Africans, they will show you. Were you in the hip hop base, in the military base? Were you in the hip hop over there, trying to dance over there, have good time with them? Who are coming to meet to know you? The white boys. Man, where you from? Oh, man, I'm Africa. Oh yeah, man, we're in Africa, man. They start interrogating you. But the ones you think that will be cool with you will give you far more distance. Even call you African monkey Jogo to the white women. That's why I said they're talking about a B1, B2. Go to Europe, bro. You see how Black Americans are chasing white women over there. Germany, Holland, Denmark. You know, then when they see an Africa with a white woman, they say, "Man, what are you doing with this jungle brother monkey?" So you have to understand when these things are being stationally being shown in TV. I live in Nigeria. Sometimes those days, since the 90s, when CNN started talking about Africa, so that I turn and look at myself like, am I in Nigeria? Where am I really? It was good. They were using also a black lady at that time from South Africa to destroy the name of Africa. And they succeeded. That's what you see now. Thank God YouTube came into show. The real picture of Africa started coming out. We're not perfect, but we're just who we are. What happened in the past, I didn't know nothing about it was bad. But if you're an African and you know you carry the DNA of Africa, what will kill the African man will kill you. You know, sickle cell, high blood pressure. These are the things that associate with Africans.
Yeah, my Jamaican grandma passed from sickle cell. That's a fact.
Yeah, so who are you to say, oh, I'm African, when you know when they do a test on you, you might be sickle cell carrier.
I am.
God damn, man.
I also have the sickle cell trait, but there's more context to that.
You know, don't run for your shadow, bro or sis. You know who
Okay,
you are.
so second X, if you have the sickle cell trait, you're sub-Saharan African.
No. Again, sub-Saharan African is a geopolitical term.
Oh
Nobody.
God.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
no.
Come
I
on,
mean,
To be
brother.
more accurate,
okay. How about
actually,
this?
Yeah.
all
I
Africans have that trait.
Because I have the trait. I have sickle cell trait too.
I have it too, and also
Well,
even
I never did a test on myself, so I never knew if I
Wait,
had
so
sickle cell
brother.
trait. So
so
So you're saying you're Native American, brother?
who, me?
Yeah.
Nah, he an Israelite.
Oh,
No,
that's right. That's okay.
what I am saying is I'm saying that I'm Semitic. I have a Semitic haplogroup that comes
Yes, I
from.
remember that.
Yeah, that's what I'm
but
saying. There's
aren't
more than one
Semitic
type.
so second X is aren't Semitic people more closely related to West Asiatic people?
Like Iranians and those types of
Yeah.
people.
There's more than one group of
Like
people.
brown skinned people, but like West
Persians and shit.
Asiatic
Yes,
people, like
I know what.
not like the
Semitic
real
people
jet
don't
black
belong
dark
to
Africans like
Look,
E1B1A,
most
bro.
look,
I'm
look,
sorry.
and I'm glad he brought that up. What I'm saying is Semitic people belong to E1 haplogroup D and E.
so you're
There's,
saying you're like West Asian.
What?
I'm saying
You talk
that.
about the ancestral population of haplogroup E, bro. You tripping.
Let me answer his question. So there's, and this is based on the Natufians that somebody brought up earlier. Natufians had the earliest Semitic culture, hands down. They had the earliest. Their haplogroup was overwhelmingly haplogroup E1B1. Okay. And they originated, they were there in Judea,
But
in the land.
that was thousands of years before Israelites even existed. That was in
What?
prehistory, bro.
Look, Eminem is rapping today, but
You
we know
talk
that.
about the
Listen.
Paleolithic era, bro.
Oh, that's right. The new Stone Age. So look, listen to what I'm saying is people can take your
Nah.
culture. No. People can take your culture. That doesn't mean they created it. Just like rock and roll and hip hop. Now we got, Hispanics and white people rapping, but that didn't mean they created it. Does that make sense? So whoever the Semitic people were living in the land, you had other groups of people that were there. They took on the identity and the culture as well, and migrations pushed the Semitic carriers across Northeast Africa and East Africa.
So you admitting that these people existed thousands of years prior to the coming of this state called Israel or this nation called Israel, right?
Yeah.
All right, so and that's my point. Your branch of E1B1A probably emerged in West Africa thousands of years like after
No,
that,
it
bro.
didn't.
Like so it doesn't
It
have
did.
nothing to do with
Listen,
Israelites.
haplogroup E carriers do not originate. The indigenous African haplogroups are A and B. Haplogroup D and E originated outside the continent in the Middle East, somewhere in Tibet. That's where
It actually originated in Asia and Africa.
it originated in Asia. That's where the protein YAP plus came from. As a matter of fact, African ancestry, what they do is they look for the YAP plus protein. If they don't see that, then they give you they'll say, sorry, we're disappointed to tell you that, we didn't find any African results.
But
Okay,
how
but
does
we
that give you the
go ahead.
sorry? How does that give you the impression that we went to them? Why don't you believe that they came to us? Like we had everything. How do you know they didn't come to us and spread as opposed to us leaving Africa? Because there's nothing that really supports that.
Oh, so I'm not saying that Africans went to them or anything like that.
Okay.
What I am saying is that there was always this connection between West Asian blacks. I'm gonna use that term.
Let me read this super chat real quick. Brizzy Diallo, thank you for the super chat. $9.99. Holla, the slave trade happened in reverse dynasty. We've been lied to. All right, and guys, hit the like button. Please hit that like button. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, what I'm saying is that all people. You know how we all say the world was black, everybody was African, or something like that. What people have to separate is the way people look in your genetics. You can look one way and be genetically different. Like Martin Luther King, he's actually genetically German, but he looks African American, and he.
So wait,
Get
wait,
out
wait.
of here,
So you're
man.
Are
saying
you
Martin Luther
serious?
King is German?
Bro, where you from? Look.
He talk about his
You
haplogroup.
I'm
you
talking
come up
about
this
the
guy said
haplogroup.
we're giving Black Americans
Okay,
asylum.
No,
That
I think
don't
I
that
know what
don't
he's
mean nothing,
saying.
bro.
Do
That
you
don't
One of
mean
do you
his
nothing.
understand
parents
what I'm
may have
saying?
been
But see,
mulatto.
hold on one second. So you're using haplogroups. Now I'm not familiar with that. I know that's an anthropological term.
Okay.
But if you're saying so you just said like Martin Luther King is like ethnically German. So you're
Yeah.
using you're using like modern day like racial classifications
That's
to
right.
classify people. Like you're using like these haplogroups that you're talking about, haplogroup A, haplogroup B. Or you're saying that's where these West Asiatic quote unquote blacks come from. But my question is, how do you know that they were dark skinned people? Like you're using like racial, like modern day racial terms to
I
describe those
understand what you're
people.
saying. It's just like how they looked at the cheddar man. They looked for the genes that was coding for pigmentation, and they were able to discover that, oh, Neanderthals were actually darker skinned. I'm not saying black people. I'm not saying just because you have dark skin, you're black.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that.
Okay.
What I'm saying is genetically, the people who identify as white today would descend from maybe darker skinned ancestors. That's it.
All
So
that's bullshit.
what?
All of
Uh,
that is garbage.
how about this? You know what's his name? Andrew Tate. Do anybody know about who that is, or
Yeah.
you
What
know who
about
Drake
Yeah.
is?
He
Yeah,
biracial.
right. If you look at
his
he's biracial.
father is not even black like that.
His
Okay,
father's Indian, I think.
his father's Indian. Let's
No,
say
his father's black.
His
his
father
father's
is
black.
not like that.
Let's
He mixed with something
His
else.
father's
He's
black.
definitely
his
not like full African. He's definitely like one of the blacks by the paper test. Like, you know what I
Ethnic
mean?
black.
yeah, and when you see his grandfather,
So
he's
his
definitely
father's
black.
very like East Indian looking.
Well, when you see his grandfather, he's
He's a
definitely
mulatto.
black, right? So when you look at let's say his haplogroup is E. When you look at Andrew Tate's son or Drake's son today, they won't look anything like their grandparents who are undeniably a black person, right? But their looks would look like any other
But what
white
does that
person.
have to do with Martin Luther
Look,
King Jr.?
And we
Martin Luther,
Jamaicans do it. You know what we
well,
call that?
what I'm
Hold on.
saying
You know
with
what we Jamaicans we call that a disease.
no, you're talking about vitiligo. What I'm talking about is
No, brother, you
what
didn't catch on.
listen,
all this
when you're talking,
confusion is because people want to identify themselves as black. Anything and anyone can be black. The moment you
That's
identify
actually
yourself
from
as
white
black,
supremacy, the one drop rule.
that's right.
but
That's right.
forget all of that. Forget all of that. Anytime any man, any woman says I'm black, they can be anything and anyone, and anybody can be black. That's
Yeah,
where
that's
all the
correct.
confusion is coming from.
That's
Because
right.
once you're black, you can say, "Well, I'm Hebrew, I'm Jew, you could be anything." Like Drake, that's a black man. I don't think he's a black man because if I'm a black man, that man cannot be what I am because I'm not what he is. His mother is something else other than my mom. You get what I'm
And
trying to say? So
and Drake's son can
how
say
come
he's black.
everybody gets to attach himself to me, but I can't attach myself to them? So
Well,
here's the problem.
yeah.
So me being African, I said, well, if he's mixed with that, I can't be black. I'm not black because what they are is not what I am. It don't make no sense. So even this man, second Exodus here, he's black. That's why he's able to say, I'm Hebrew, I'm all this, because again, going back in history, all the people that was doing the rebellion and all that, they knew they were African. That's why they were able to stand up and fight. The moment you became black, the moment you became anything else the moment you became black and detach yourself from what you were comfortable on that line where you were. You're not going to rebel no more. You're not going to do anything no more. And again, this black thing, anyone and anything can be black. Doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, what lineage, what bloodline, what genes, what anybody can be black. So why are we on here talking? These are things everybody knows.
No,
Anyone can.
everybody don't know that. Everybody doesn't know it.
No, but look at the black people on this world. They all mixed with whatever. Everybody see it.
Everybody mixed, bro. All humanity is mixed.
But
Just
your
get
No,
over
Y
that shit.
haplogroup doesn't change.
don't say
That's
that.
all I'm saying. Your Y chromosome never changes.
I'm not mixed. Don't say
Even
everybody
even
mixed.
continental Africans mixed with different ethnic groups, bro. It is what it is.
Yeah, mixed with African, not mixed with European or Asian or what.
Yeah, that's true, but they still different ethnic groups with their own culture and
That's
own
African.
languages.
Well, the Chadic people are a prime example. There's Somalians and Chadic people who have Indo-European haplogroups, but they look like
Yeah,
any other.
we derive from the Chadic people a little bit. just a little bit.
Yeah,
As
so
Only on the paternal lineage. That's it.
yeah, exactly. So I mean, that's why I say, hey, you gotta.
But
All I'm
after
doing is
thousands of years of evolution, those people were black. They still black. So
All
it
well,
that
is what it is.
nonsense, we
that's what
need
I
to get
mean.
away from that. All that. Listen, these
it don't
people,
take
they
thousands of
need to
years.
attach themselves to something on this planet. So the easiest way to do is to say, well, we came from the African. The African moved out of the hot weather, came into the cold, and because it was cold, his nose got thinner. His hair, to cover the back of his head from freezing, his hair got. Listen, it would take a billion trillion years for your
That
hair
never
to
happened.
thick.
Right, that never happened.
Yeah, you don't see Hausa Fulani people claiming they Israelites unless they trying to
Nope.
be a Hebrew Israelite. You don't see Fulani. Fulani's got Berber paternal lineage, and they
Yep,
don't even claim to be Israelites. It's just African Americans with that bullshit.
exactly.
No.
But
I
you can't
disagree.
blame them, no, because nobody wants to be African. African's a piece of shit. There's nothing positive about Africa. Nobody, even the African, don't want to be African.
Even the
No,
word
no,
Africa is Semitic.
In fact, the African,
forget
when you
the
see
name.
him in America, he is the least African out of all of us. When you see him in America, he's the most
That's
white
Latin,
man.
actually.
What
The word
Africa?
the word Africa is Latin.
It's
It's named after a Roman general.
it's named.
All
Nah,
that
he
proves
was
The
right
nothing.
word
about the Semitic part. He was right about that
Africa
because
is.
the
Go
North
ahead. Go
Africa
ahead.
used to be called Ifriqiya. That's where Africa came from.
Thank
I
you.
think, and it was also called Al Capulon, I believe.
Yeah, I remember that one.
By different nations of people. There,
No,
Africa.
Al Capulon is definitely an African originated name.
Yeah, that's the
I'm
one I'm familiar with.
I'm not
That continent
disagreeing with
has
that.
never called it like all the tribes, all the clans, all the families. Not one time in history have all of them decided to say or call themselves African. That's
Yeah,
never happened before. It's a
That's
new
true.
thing,
facts.
right?
That's
Maybe
true.
there was one group in Africa that called themselves a freak or whatever. Fine, but the whole continent never called themselves African. Everybody had their family they came from, and they rep their family.
And
Exactly.
let me pass it to Chima. Go ahead, Chima. Chima, go ahead. Chima, you can't be calling in on an Obama phone. You can't call in on an Obama phone, man. You
All right,
gotta.
all right. Can you hear me? Can you hear me right now?
It's better. Go ahead.
Okay, the one thing I don't get is what's the point of this whole switching the whole identity thing? I get that that America and Israel are like the most powerful countries in the world, or at least for the time being they are. And you guys and a lot of people want to be a part of that power, but what exactly is like the end goal of this philosophy? That's what I want to know. Because they're
Philosophy.
because because the because nobody's fighting for any land. They're not fighting for any type of culture they want to preserve. It's just getting away from being African.
I don't know why people disconnect Israelites from being African, but go ahead.
Because they not.
They are. They became a nation in Africa. 70 members of Jacob's family went down into Egypt. Over 200 years, they became nations of people.
All
Jacob,
Okay,
those
well
people
Jacob
they not the
never.
part of
all
Africa
those
you from.
see,
What
look,
do you mean where
65
I'm from?
percent of the castles, the slave castles, are all in Ghana. Most of the slaves came from Ghana or was taken out of Ghana.
I agree.
So I'm just trying to show you guys something, right? I'm a Khan. So the Akhans did most of the fighting amongst themselves because they were trying to unify themselves. So now, if I'm fighting my cousin or my brother or whatever, and he don't want to really be part of the team, he was sent to the European, and then he was sent to the Caribbean. So example, in Jamaica, you have Techi, that was a king. You have the Maroons, those were all kings that were sent there because they didn't want to sit down and comply. They wanted to fight, so they sent them away. They were not Hebrews, they were not Jews, they were not none of those things. They were Akan, right? So all this stuff, again, everybody wants to be with whatever is powerful, whatever makes sense, whatever is good. Because we're people that want to be flashy, we're people that want to look good. Nobody wants to look poor, nobody wants to attach himself to something. Africa right now, when you look at it in a nutshell, there's nothing positive about it right now. So I
Am
get
I?
nobody wants
That's
to be
not
part of it.
true.
I don't believe that. I think greetings to everyone. Anyway, thank you and this in Dynas for having me on. I think it's just brainwashing that has gotten us here. The rest of the world doesn't have even as much resources and beauty and wealth as Africa does. But yet our people try to distance themselves from it. Why? You have to ask yourself, look at the Israelis and Palestinians. They are fighting over a desert land that there is barely anything on. Are you going to say Afghanistan is more beautiful than Africa or Europe? Have you been there? Without any of the technology that they have, you will freeze to death in Europe. Africa is basically a Garden of Eden, but they have convinced us. Hold on now, they've convinced us that it's not good. So this is why I think what Dr. Arikana said recently was quite correct, because they were asking, what is the problem with Africa? What is it? He says the mind. You have a land, you can see it on YouTube. Just check, compare it with other places. You have all the gifts in the God can give any human being on earth, but we have been disconnected from it, and we believed the myth that something is wrong with Africa somehow. But there is nothing wrong with it. You just don't recognize it. You don't recognize your own wealth and blessings. When we keep asking for prayers, it's like I keep asking people, why are you praying? And they hope God has already given you more than He has given any other people. Most people don't have resources, and yet they are doing very, very well for themselves. It's because our people are disconnected from what they truly are. It's the mind. That is where the core issue is. That's why they want to distance themselves. Is India not poor? There are many places that were poor. China was living on rations when they were building their nuclear technology. They were poor. They didn't disown it. But we disown ours. And sooner or later, we are going to lose it for good. Let's keep doing what we are doing. I think that's going to get us anywhere.
No group of people on this planet wants to be African, wants to look African, wants to speak African. Okay,
of course they don't want to. Because they are the ones selling the idea. I've been on panels where desert dwellers are telling us what to eat.
For sure. I'm not disagreeing with you, but I'm just saying these are things we know, but we ignore it. Okay, the African, when you put the African next to all the groups on the planet, we have been conditioned to think we are the ugliest people on the planet. You understand? When you put our people, especially the women, they don't want to be themselves. You understand? Why? Because we've been taught that we are nothing, and we believe that we are nothing, so we will do anything to be other than what we are. So again,
which is crazy.
If we don't want to be ourselves, who want to be us? We would do anything and everything to be anything else other than African. So again, the African don't want to be African. The African is running away from being African. Not the land. The land, that's God-given. We have that. But again, you're saying the mindset, the mind that we have is disgusting. So nobody wants to attach himself to that. Everything we do, we don't even want to polish it to make people want to be that. The African is constantly copying.
Then the ones that are aware need to just stop it and educate the others to understand what they've got. And I fear that we are not going to have that land for a very long time if we carry on in this way. Because the world doesn't owe us a living. If we keep disregarding our heritage will reject us. This is a massive continent. The genetic base of humanity, you can't even count the riches there. You can't even make it up. It's almost like the Bible, the story of the Bible in the Bible, they talked about Esau selling his birthright. This is what we are doing, and we will be damned for it if we carry on in this way. Because how can heaven forgive us for this? What we have done to our own land. Russians, they went through hell during the Second World War. They lost 80 million people, and then Stalin went on to carry a period of terror, resulting in millions of lives being lost. And they still call their land the modern land, and they will fight to the death to protect it. Other people fight for the little that they have, even if it's a desert land. But somehow we have bought into this, and we will be damned for it if we don't correct cause. Sooner or later, we will not own that place anymore. It's just a fact of life.
One time we worship the waters, all the water bodies, all the trees. We're not worship, but we took care of it because we believe there was spirit in it. We believe God inhabits all these things. Water was clean. Right now in Ghana, all the waters, about 60% of the water is being polluted.
That's a good point.
Nobody cares about the land like how our ancestors did. We are different people now.
What water is polluted?
We don't care for no more.
What is he talking about that water is polluted in Africa?
Ghana, not Africa.
Royal Image.
Not everywhere in Ghana, obviously. The areas you're talking about are the areas where this industrial activity is going on.
No. Listen. Again, I'm from Ghana. So when I'm talking about Ghana, I'm not going to come on here and disrespect and disgrace myself online for all these people to hear. Like, I'm going to kick the facts, and that's all I kick. All right?
But if you're kicking the facts, don't paint an image like the entire Ghana is covered in this thing, in polluted water.
Do you know?
And
Do you
you
know
see,
what I'm
hold
saying?
on. And
Oh man.
if you are here
He
complaining
said
that Africans don't want to
60%, bro.
attach themselves to Africa, I thought I heard the way he was
Listen,
sounding like everywhere in Ghana was covered
Nah.
in this thing,
listen.
poisonous water.
It's a big issue we're dealing with in Ghana right now. Maybe it's not being covered. Again, it's a big issue. You understand? We're messing up a lot because it's the gold. They're digging the gold, and the chemicals you're using in the water is destroying the villages that live with all those waters. They can't use the water no more. This
And
is
that's
not what
something we need to deal with. That it's not no reason to reject. This is the process of industrialization.
it's not industrialization. There's no plantations. There's no warehouses. It's just people digging gold and using chemicals in the water.
Your government have to do something about it. Then
And
that's your land.
See, I was trying to show you something, and you're trying to cut me off to talk about something
No,
else.
I don't know. What? Okay, please explain. I want to hear it then.
What I'm saying is how we used to be with the land, we are no longer like that. The things we used to care and cherish, we no longer care and cherish those things. So it's easier for us to destroy things. It's easier for us to push things aside and not want it because we've been conditioned to not be where we are, to not worship and respect the things that we worship and respect. The African is the custodian of this planet. We are the soul of this planet. The moment all they're trying to do is get us away from what we are. The moment Africans become anything else other than African, lack of a better word, the planet will be 100% theirs. We are the only people on this planet that's still connected to this soil, this land, this earth. There's no other people that's connected to this planet as we are.
I'm not sure about that. The Neanderthals were once connected. Let's not overstate our importance to this world. The world will do away with us. The Neanderthals were once connected to the land too. See,
good point.
Yeah, you can't take yourself for granted and take yourself as if the world cannot dispense with you. If you take it for granted, it will dispense with you.
Neanderthal is still on this planet. 7% of the Caucasian DNA is Neanderthal. They're still here. Don't get
Oh goodness, they are not here. Come on, man. Let's not do that.
Guys, hit the like button. Again, Miss, I'll put the link in the chat. If you want to call in, please click on the link. If you want to call in, please click on the link.
7% of their DNA is Neanderthal. Look it up.
Not 7%. Most of them, they are the highest.
1%, bro.
6%, but most of them is 1%, less than 1%. So let's
less
not make
than
it look
1,
like
bro. Chill.
all over the place. And you see, I'm not trying to disagree with you that we are the genetic base of humanity. But the point is that you are doing the same thing that they are doing by saying some of all these negative things. What we should be focusing on, trying to reclaim what is ours, because sooner or later they will come and claim it.
I'm just trying to empower us. We need to understand who we are. How is that? It's
negative. Image, I'm not in a con, so you can't put that on me.
What do you mean?
Well, when you said that, when you're saying that we're trying to take away the identity of the Akan, nobody's trying to do that.
I said that.
Yeah, nobody's trying to like.
What are you talking about? I never said somebody.
These people in West Africa trying to profess that Israelite shit now. What you talking about?
No, we are not Israelites. See, I think we are misunderstanding this guy a little bit today. I don't think he meant that, and I also did misunderstand him to an extent. Let's give him a bit of a break. He's just trying to highlight the problems.
Okay, the problems of Ghana and the pollution in water and stuff. Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, so I think somebody was saying something about us trying to be this in Hebrew Israelites, and we sign up to everything. I think the Europeans, more African Americans, are more connected to Europeans than they will ever be to even the Aboriginals and this in the Red Indians. I don't know what they are called now in America there, because they had more admixture with the Europeans.
Not that
with the dominant culture. So
not that much.
They had more compared to the Indians, isn't it? So that's what I'm just trying to reiterate there. But in the end, they are mostly African, and even if they were Africans on that continent before the Europeans arrived, they didn't make it in large numbers to this day. And that is the debate. The debate is about what is the proportion of African Americans today that are of the Aboriginal African ancestry. They don't exist anymore in any significant number. If they did before, they were not there anymore. And even the Indians that were there, many of them have been decimated. About 90% of them are gone. So how do you expect if there were a small black population that was there to survive till now? I don't even get the rationale why people keep going on in that direction. But that said, anyway, I understand why people distance themselves from the continent until they start seeing positive things happen. It's hard to relate to people that are portrayed in the media as negative. You know, I on a program in Nigeria today, I heard a lady talked about why she started wearing wig. She said she was watching TV about the Kardashians, and her husband was watching the Kardashians, and she thought. Then somebody was telling her, "Oh, this one, your husband is watching the Kardashians. Maybe you should try to, do something." And boom, she went and put on wig. I said that is a wrong message that's the wrong lesson to be learning from it. First, what just happened there was you were just brainwashed by Western media to go and start changing your hair from what you truly are. And what is your husband doing watching the Kardashians and making it look like they are the prettiest people on the face of the earth? Something is wrong. You are raising the children to admire other cultures. What is there in this world anymore other than to propagate your generation and to have children and pass your gene down the generations? What is there in this world anymore? And if you start conceding one of the fundamentals in that, which is desirability to procreate, you concede that because your husband is watching the Kardashians, you are done for. And I don't understand how our people allow this to infiltrate them. You don't see the Chinese. Okay, some of the Chinese buy into being lighter skin, but they don't change their hair. They don't change much else. But we change everything and we put ourselves at a disadvantage. We spend so much time. Do you know how much time our women spend on their hair alone and on their on the fight? No, it's not only time, it's also resources. That is an evolutionary disadvantage just by having a different color. Some lions cannot survive in the forest compared to ones with other colors. Just color alone. Not to mention when you waste so much resources and time doing something that is not very productive. That is extremely dangerous. And when I tell some people some of all this, they don't understand how this stuff can add up. Over time, every year, if you calculate the time our women lose compared to European women, who could use it to do other things. So these are the kind of things we need to start fixing. We need to be more efficient and more deliberate.
I beg to differ there. I mean, European women do other things that take 3 and 4 hours in the salon, and it costs just as much. So
can you give me an example?
Like hair dye.
Hair dye takes 4 hours.
They don't change their
It takes like 3 hours.
You can do it at home.
To lift your hair. Like if you're a dark brunette, to lift your hair and then deposit color into it and tint it takes like 3 hours. Yeah.
Black
About
people
$250.
So you have to admit it's nothing close to ours. It's very, very. They can even do that at home. It's nothing close to ours.
Oh no, not the way they do in the salon out here.
And
they
not
live
to
in the salon.
mention, like,
Actually, I'm not trying
like,
to attack
white
our women.
women
I'm
do
just
all
trying
these,
to
like,
from
advise.
California. He
these
knows
food
how
jobs
Becky
also.
do. She lives in the salon, so they also tan their
Like,
skin.
and they also get
we don't
food
do anything
jobs
for our
and these
skin. They
ass
tan their
jobs
skin.
too.
Not that many of them do these things. That's what I'm saying. Compared to ours, it's almost. See.
I'm from New York. Dynas is from Cali. Enough of them do it that I see them every day.
Enough of them. Okay, I don't know where you
It's
are
a
seeing
lot of
them because all the ones I know here in London, they get up, get dressed,
London
boom, they're
girls are
gone.
different. They don't do it
I
like
don't
how
know.
we do it out here.
a lot of the women get that Botox too.
They get the Botox.
Yeah, that's what I said.
All I'm saying is that I
they
understand
have
where you're
more
going
resources.
with it, though.
Yeah, okay, good.
But I get your
I
point,
mean,
though.
like, I mean, hell, Botox is big in the DMV where I'm at.
My point is that if you compare the fact that we don't have a lot and we are spending as if we have more, I begin to realize.
How do you want us to walk around? We want to also make the men, like us too.
No, sorry, it's not only the
The
women.
men don't like African
men.
features. They don't like African hair, so we got to get our hair straightened and blown
Those are
out so
weak
that men like Dynas will like us.
Those
I'm
are
sorry, it's not only the women.
Dynas, you like me better with my straight hair. It's true.
weak
I
You like
prefer
me
my
better with
women
my
natural.
straight
those are
hair.
sucker weak
I
men.
prefer my women natural. He's rare. He's a
You're a
Exactly.
liar.
I'm a liar.
You're a liar.
No, they do actually, and most of the women on that TV show
That's
said
that Fulani coming out.
Miss Chantel, go ahead, Miss Chantel, go ahead.
Hi, I just want to change the subject just a little bit back to what you guys was talking about earlier. This is something I never ever hear a lot of Africans address, which I want to hear Africans address this question. The question is, why do you guys never speak about how the slave dungeons were established, who built them, and how all of these millions of Africans were sold off and into the hands of Europeans to be sold around the world.
I
Did
can
Africans sell their people?
I can touch on that. So
First off, they weren't Africans back then.
it doesn't matter. Right now it's African. This is okay. So like again, I was saying I'm from Ghana, right? I'm a Khan. So most of the battles, most of the fights was between the Khans themselves. So what we were trying to do is unify ourselves. So 5 of the smaller clans, the leader at that time was Dencha, right? He was the head of the family, and I guess some of the tribes where he was the leader or the king was harsh on them. So 5 of them put themselves together, and they went to war with Dencha and overthrew him. And that was the beginning of Asante, which everybody calls now Ashanti. This was 1690, right? So from there, they realized we have this power, we can unify everybody and control all the trading that was going on between the European. So when they come to you, diplomatic way was join the group, and if not, then war happens. They fight, and then they force you into the group. So what happens is if you disagree and still wants to keep fighting, then they send you to the European. An example, you have in Jamaica, you have a king named Techi, or they call him Taki over there, and a Kampon and all those are all royalties. What happens is they don't want to settle. They don't want to be part of the group. So if they don't want to be part of the group, they were sent with their people to the European to get to lessen more fights. So that was one way all that was happening. Now the slave dungeons was built. I think it was like the first contact we had to the European was with the Dutch, 1471. They came in. It was peaceful trading. There was no human trade and none of that stuff going on. Later on, all of that happened. All the equipments, all the materials, they brought that from wherever they came from and built that stuff with a little bit of help from the locals. So later on, when they need human capital or human whatever resources to do what they were trying to do, that's when all of that was introduced. And with the fighting that was going on, if I'm not trying to agree with what you're trying to agree and you have more power, then you would send me and say, get out of here. We don't want to deal with you no more. So that was one way of it. I hope that kind of helped. And this on Ghana,
So,
I don't know about anywhere else.
so
So like,
you're saying that you're admitting that yes, they sold their own people off, but
you
you're
want me to lie to
also
you?
I
I don't
can
know.
I can answer that
but
question.
this was millions and millions upon millions of people sold off. So
Yeah.
it's not connecting.
What do you mean?
So
You don't want it to connect.
It's not fitting because it was millions upon millions of people sold off. You're
right.
speaking as though it was just a few here and there, whatever. No,
No, no,
this was
no.
Well,
millions.
most African slaves went to South America.
Exactly. And the first
Hmm.
ones came from Spain and Portugal. The first slave.
From my point of view, I have to think that Africans took part in establishing the slave dungeons and doing trade with these people,
That's
trading
true.
their
Look,
own
okay,
people.
They
not
did.
I didn't
Some
want to
of them.
believe this
So
at one time, but we got to look at
Europeans
truth.
building
What,
that.
Let
Europeans
me let, let me
one,
add,
one second,
let me
one
just add
second,
some, okay, go ahead.
one
European
second. Let me finish. We got to look at truth for what it is and address the truth. Because if we don't address the truth, we'll never really come to an understanding of what went wrong with Africa, with that part of Africa.
That's true.
the,
See,
the,
we see. Let me just add this. We clearly sold our people, and we sold them not just for anything valuable, for trinkets. Most of the time, it was for drinks, mirrors, and not even firearms or anything innovative. And instead of us to be, no, let's no, no, we have to be truthful about these things
Yes, be
because
truthful. Yeah.
because it's quite serious.
But
Um,
tonight,
See, our gravest sin was undervaluing human lives and especially our own. And we came
There you go. That's what I'm talking about right there.
and
Go ahead.
because when Europeans came with ships and guns and all the rest, one of my findings was that the reason why we were not advancing a lot in industrializing and making the firearms. Some of us tried to make the firearms, but it wasn't broad enough. The reason why we didn't have them because we're busy selling people that could invent those things, build the ships. We were busy selling human beings, and we paid for it
hey,
heavily.
Tunisia, I have a question for you specifically. How close do you think that Nigeria is to making an apology to the diaspora?
We have to
Okay.
to do that. You have to kind of
Good question.
either nudge these elites out of the way, the ones that are there, because they are. You see, when Europeans came to Africa, they conquered Africa, colonized it, took their kings, exiled most of them, basically holding them as hostage. Then they went on for 50 to 60 or maybe even 100 years to groom the leaders, generation after generation, raise them to be like them and love them. So when they left, they were they were a kind of programmed to follow the European agenda. So this is why they come to America every year. But they don't ask for African Americans. They don't ask to have a meeting with their own relatives at all. They don't do that.
A
Why?
lot of them get educated in Europe
Look,
too.
look
at
at
what
what
Tinubu
These
is
are
doing right now. He's trying to
My
fight
other
Niger
question
Republic.
for you, Niger, my other question for you is this.
One mic. They
So
just had like a year return in Nigeria at Badagry. I think there was a
Yeah.
apology made there. They just literally did it. Like Marcus Garvey's grandson was there.
When did they do that?
This was like
Yeah,
I didn't hear about that.
I'm aware of
Oh
it.
shit! Really?
yeah, it was at Badagry. Hold on, let me pull it up.
Wow, I missed it. I should have been there. That's crazy. I was just there for like almost 2 years.
Yeah,
That's
let
crazy.
me pass the stars. Go ahead, Star Studded.
okay, so in the past, Africans didn't have a concept of like one Africa. You belong to your tribe, you belong to your ethnic group. So that concept of like we're selling our own people wasn't there. So if an Igbo is fighting a Fulani, he would sell him. So there was no because they were enemies. They were fighting for the same resources. So there wasn't really this concept of like a united Africa until the coming of the Europeans.
Their con
That
never,
was when
their con never
yeah
sold
go
in Ghana. We never sold the Ewas in Ghana. We never sold none of the houses, the Fulanis. We never.
no Ghana had an empire. Remember, everybody was under the same. Ghana is it was an empire then, but that's why they didn't sell their own people. But like when you come to other parts of Africa, nobody sells somebody from his own tribe, from his own ethnic group. Is always a foreigner. They go on like
When I
raid
Ghanaians they
or
sell each
ban.
other. Even southern Ghana, the southern Ashanti actually, the Ashantis did fight hard. They did fight hard. You have to grant them that. And but the southern ones betrayed the other groups and they started conniving with the Europeans against
That's
the greater community.
That's the
So
fun.
yeah,
I'm
we all
saying.
sold each other, man. Come on,
Hold on,
let's
hold on.
know.
Fun
Well, hey
Yeah,
guys,
that's the truth.
let me
But
play
how
this
did I
video.
get here?
Let me play this video
Finally,
real
I'm
quick, guys. Let me play this video real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
Let me play this video real quick.
Edition of Metrofile for the month of October, and this just means that the year is gradually winding down, and we're super grateful for the journey so far. Well, it's been an eventful week, and I hope yours has been good so far. It's that time of the week again where you get to enjoy your social diary program, Metrofile, right here on Channels Television. So thank you so much for joining us on the program. Don't forget, watch out for flash photography. I'm Anne Nwawadu. Welcome to Metrofile. Let's begin in the historic town of Badagry, Lagos, where the fourth edition of the Door of Return Festival was held, a festival which reminds us all of the importance of freedom. Well, that event was organized by Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, NIDCOM.
Badagry, a coastal town in Lagos State located on the north bank of Porto Novo Creek, shares a border town with the Republic of Benin. From the 16th century till its abolition in 1886, the coastal town of Badagry, now a part of Lagos, was the final point of departure for indigents who were sold into slavery. Today, it has become a destination for tourists who want a slice of its well-preserved ties to the transatlantic slave trade, and the Door of Return launches a new era of cooperation between Africa and its diaspora in the 21st century that brings about the fourth Door of Return Festival, organized by the Office of Nigerians in Diaspora Commission. The diaspora guests walked along a 1.5-kilometer old slave route to the ocean.
Dynas, Can I stop you here?
Well, hold on, but the ladies that are performing, they're from Benin Republic.
Yeah.
Kindness. Can I stop you here?
Go ahead.
When we talk about year of return, I'm 37, just turned 37 last week. Listen, Dynast, you know what we're talking about. We're talking about a highly choreographed, highly mapped out hotels here, hotels there, artists performing. The diaspora is invited. Everyone's spending money. We're not talking about this. I understand this, but stop taking us to the village. We understand what we're talking about. We're talking about opening the door for us to get our come visa free, enjoy Nigeria, come see all of the artists then perform, stay in some hotels around Oniru and Lagos, stay in nice areas. We're not talking about Badagry Papa. We're not talking about that.
But that's your opinion. Some people enjoy this and appreciate this.
Okay.
I get where you are coming from, but I think Nigeria can do better than this. And where is the president here? You see, this is not a national thing. It seems to be a Lagos endeavor. If this to be done properly, and I also criticized Ghana on this too. I said if this was supposed to be done, West Africa, we have ECOWAS. They can coordinate instead of ECOWAS looking to invade Niger. Maybe they can coordinate to do a kind of a door of return or a year of return. They can do that. This is the kind of thing that they should be doing. I see. I'm not trying to, because every little helps, but there's something bigger needs to happen on this, because I think it's a sin that we have to fix ourselves. We can't pretend as if it didn't happen. We have to exercise this from our consciousness, really.
I agree to that, and I want to say this. I deal with a lot of Africans, and I hear this all the time. A lot of Africans are telling African Americans that you're not African. When we hold tight to Mama Africa, they tell us we're not Africans, and we're like, huh?
Who tells you that? Who tells you that?
One second, they tell us we're not Africans. We're not Africans. We the white man's children and stuff. And I'm like, how can you deny that we're Africans when slavery happened?
Those are silly Africans. We do get them.
Yeah, those are very silly people. They're just trolling. I can't believe that.
Yeah, in like in London, parts of London, they ask where you from in Africa, and a person like, I don't know what tribe and what country my people come from. They were, sold into slavery. No, you would know where your people come from if you were truly African. I'm like, huh? They have people talking like that.
That's cool. You forgot this is where those people came from. What do you expect? FBA, there are FBAs in Africa too. they are conforming to type. What do you expect? You are going to see this type of people that talk this type of nonsense. You see, I was in a panel one day in purely Nigerian channel, and somebody said something in a kind of mistaken way, like it was insulting African Americans. You cannot believe how much Nigerians went after that person. I was really impressed by that. I was really surprised how conscious some Nigerians are about what has happened.
I love
All
that.
of them went after the person.
I watch you guys every Saturday. I love that panel. I get so much information from there. It's so great.
What panel is it, to Nigel?
We were on Dr. Damages. And I dare to say that I do normally when I host shows, I don't tolerate that kind of behavior myself, because this kind of stuff, I've always believed that this stuff needs to be exercised from our community. Otherwise, we are not going to get past it. It's something that has happened. We cannot keep running away from it.
Let me be a devil's advocate, right? See, you have people outside of Africa. They say they're black, and because they say they're black, if all of us are black, the most powerful group of us is African American in America. Okay, if all of us are black, the head of the family is the black man in America. But the black man in America wants everybody else to be black. Once you become black, you lose everything that you are. Your tribe is gone, your language is gone, everything is gone. So most Africans don't want to be black. And the reason why I'm saying that is, again, when you're black, again, culture, traditions, customs, rituals, ceremonies, names, all of that is gone. That's
how does that even happen? People have multiple identities.
Hold on. So
how can you believe that?
That doesn't even make sense, because black people in America, black people in America. Hold on, black people.
No,
you said what you had to say. What you gonna say?
Black people in America have an American identity too.
Hold on.
Guys, be quiet. Go ahead, roll image. I'll pass it to Brandon.
To Niger, how many identities do you have?
Multiple. I'm a Nigerian man. I'm an African. I'm a black man. I'm British. Just name it. I have multiple identity. You have your own city identity. You have your own
This,
state identity. So
there's a lot
let's
of
not pretend
Africans
as if we all have just one identity.
there's a
We
lot
have
of
different levels
and that
of
have used
identification.
they want to cater to the black man in America because the viewers that they bring in gives them more money, so they say anything and everything to make them happy. That's one thing.
I cannot
You
believe
guys
that
have
just
to also,
because you're
you
black
guys
American, you lose your
know that
own
there's
culture. You
people
can't.
that's saying nice things to make you feel good, but in actuality, they really don't give a shit. They're trying to just get paid. A lot of people
I
online.
would like to know.
Well,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
hold on. Let me pass it. Go ahead, Brandon. Let me meet Brandon. Go ahead, Brandon.
Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, here you go ahead.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, there are African customs still incorporated by Black Americans every day. Food, different like ceremonial practices, things we do. It's already documented. You see it every day in your existence. I always give the example of my grandma and my great grandma, how they used to eat with their damn hands, take collard greens, cornbread, tomatoes, mush it all up with their fingers and eat it from their hands. You ask them where they got that stuff from, they'll tell you this stuff came. My mom told me, my grandma, my great grandma used to do it like this. You know that stuff directly comes from Africa. On top of it, Tunai just totally right. You have several different aspects of your identity. I'm a black belt in jujitsu. I'm a podcaster. I'm a father. I'm this. I'm that. You're trying to make this thing monolithic. The reality is, tribal people all over the world, really, that's not even really based on bloodline so much as it's based on your ability to provide something that the
Lies,
tribe. Wait a
lies.
minute.
That's
Wait a minute.
lies.
Wait a minute. We know this guy thinks he knows it. If you look at any tribal structure in the world, there is always a opening or a way for
Name
someone
one
who is not.
specific tribe. Name one.
Damn, bro.
Let him finish. Royal
Damn,
Image.
bro.
So
He's
when he was
talking
on
shit.
Royal Image, let him finish.
Damn.
Let him finish. Let him finish. Go ahead, Pat.
What did you just talk, jackass? This is what I'm talking about.
Yo,
You
stop
got a
that.
lot of
Stop that.
you got a lot. Listen, you
Use
got a
one
lot of
tribe.
African.
Use one tribe
You
and
got a lot of. Listen,
use one
the
tribe
more black
and
people,
make a statement.
Dynast, the more black people try to separate themselves ignorantly, the more their ignorance shows that we're just all the same people. This
Bullet.
guy sat
When
and
did you
did the
become black?
same thing 2 seconds ago.
When did
This
you
guy
become
sat and
black?
did
How
two
long ago did
seconds.
you become black?
let him,
Two
bro.
seconds.
Come on.
Let him finish. Let him
You
finish. Let
need
him
to
finish.
understand your view.
Let him keep interrupting, because the thing is, just like my black African DNA makes me want to interject and interrupt when someone's not saying something I agree with, his is doing the same thing. The more we try to act different, the more we prove we're the same. If you were some special type of Negro, you would be able to sit over there quietly, let me express my views and point without jumping in. But you are a black nigga just like me. You might
No,
speak a
no.
different
Black is an
language.
English
You
word.
might speak a different
No
language.
English word is going to
You might
define you.
listen, bro.
No
You
English
might
word is going to
listen, bro. Listen.
That's
You
what you need
might
to
speak.
understand. Everything
Dynast, can I
about
get
you is
this line
defined
out?
by
Can I
where
get
you
this
came
last
from.
line out?
Royal Image. See Royal Image. When I told Brandon to not interrupt you, I muted him. So I'm about to mute you. Let him finish.
Now, you might speak a different language, right? You might be darker than the bottom of a tire on a Chevy. Your mama might nurse babies on both titties, and I might be able to marry all 5 of your sisters for
That would
$27.49.
never
But we
happen.
are
You
all
crazy.
niggas together. We not different. Ain't no difference in us. Only the difference you want to exist in your brain. That's it.
Listen, all I'm saying is you can't name one tribe and make your statement. Name a tribe that you know that we all can identify and make your statement. Don't just
I'll
say
give you I'll give you a prime example. I'm in Kenya right now. I do a lot of business with the Gideon tribe, right?
okay.
Before I ever did the way I got into business with them, I wasn't just asking them, "Can I buy something from you?" I was walking on the beach in Kenya with my friends who are Gideon. Literally, an old ass man walked up on me and was like, "I know you. I know your father. I know your mother." Then talking about he knows all these people. My friends are telling this guy, like, "You don't know this guy. I'm just quietly, I'm not saying anything." They're like, "You don't know this guy at all."
What are you
The
trying to say?
guy's like, "Yeah, stop." The guy's like, "His father's this, his mom's name is this, and I've known him since he was little." Then my friends were like, "Just play along with him." So I play along. The guy didn't know anything until I started talking, because I'm just wearing regular clothes from that people around the area are wearing. You're trying to make this difference. These guys got beards like me. They're stocky like me. They're short and squatty like me. There's really no difference other than the
So because you
colonizer
look
that
like
took us on boats.
makes you
That's
them,
it.
because you look like them, they look like you. That makes you them. That makes them you.
No, that's not what makes them me. The fact
So
that
what you trying to say?
if we test our DNA, our shit gonna be damn near identical. That's what makes me like them.
If you test your DNA, what I'm trying to say is, again, you guys be patient with me. I'm not trying to. I guess I'm kind of going back and forth, but it's not really on the negative side like that. There was a point in time you were not black. So I'm asking you, at what point in time did you become black?
What? Okay. All right.
Black is a term that we chose for ourselves.
You did
We
not
nobody.
choose that. That's an English
Yes,
language.
we did.
That's an
Yes,
English
we
language.
did.
You can't
Oh
be
my
a group
God,
of
this
people. On the,
guy.
hold on. Listen.
I'm not sure you understand the topic very well that you are
I do.
Black
discussing.
is.
No
Listen,
African
bro.
people on the continent call themselves black.
That is not true. I have video. Listen, bro. I was in Kamakonji Market in Kenya. I said, damn, look at all these. I said, look at all these. I said, look at it's millions of Kenyans here. A girl corrected me. It was like millions of blacks. Black people, Africans do refer to
That's an
themselves as
English
black.
word. See,
Well, guess
everything
what?
about you
Kenya
is
was
an English
colonized
word.
by the English.
You can't be what you say you are, and the name that's attached to the name that governs you is from another man.
Do you want me to tell you
What?
specifically what tribes
Seriously?
I'm from?
Oh
What'd you
my
say?
God.
Would you
If you
like me
just
to tell you specifically what tribes I'm from?
listen to me,
Because I can tell you that.
the black.
What's your
Okay,
tribes?
when you say black, which
Balanta and
geographical
Fulani.
location is attached to black?
Listen,
Which geographical location is attached to black?
black is just a descriptor that people use to encompass all of our people. That is it. It's not like we're
Who started doing that? That's what I'm trying to get you guys to understand.
in America. In America, we did. We chose
It's not
black. They used
you.
to call.
Remember, in America, you were a boy, you were a Negro, you were a nigger, you were
Yes,
African, you
yes.
were all the things. Somebody
And
was
we
doing it to you.
decided and we decided to be called African Americans. Also, we decided to be called Black Americans. That is something that we chose to be called.
At what
We
point?
nobody assigned us that term.
There's a point in time that became a thing.
Yes, when we got tired of being called nigga, we said
Yeah,
no, or
cool
Negro,
down.
or
I'm
colored.
proud. Yeah.
When we got tired,
Let me pass. Hold on. Let me pass it to Jagoon. Go ahead, Jagoon. Unmute yourself. Jagoon, unmute yourself.
Jagoon, come on. Where have you gone, Jagoon? I know him.
Is that the guy from your panel?
Hello
Go
there.
ahead. Go ahead,
Hello
Jagoon.
all.
Hello.
I've just Dynast, my brother. I've been following you for a very long time, and I've been seeing your progress and your inclusive nature about the African diaspora. Very, very, very good to address you today. I'm interested in this subject, obviously, as an African myself from the UK, born in Nigeria. I'm listening, and in listening, I see that there's a lot of cross-referencing going on. I'm not one to say what the subject is about necessarily. I've just came on and wanted to ingratiate myself amongst the panelists, and I would like to see the panelists' face. We like seeing who we're speaking to. Everybody's hiding, which I don't necessarily agree with. Here we are. Look, here we are. Come on, man. Let's be bold. Let's not do it like this, man. We're supposed to be brothers and sisters here.
ingratiate
We're supposed
yourself
to
by
be
getting to
joining
the
our
point.
spirits, man. We know that we're involved in this, so let's come out, man. All this weakness, and can we put the full screen on? So I don't want to see the background. I want to see people's faces. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Do for you though.
Look at that! Look at that beauty on the corner. Who's she? My goodness.
I am a Black beauty. I know Tunisia. I watched your panels on Saturday. I really loved the information.
Oh, wonderful!
I'm a new
Black
Nigerian.
beauty. Yes, I remember. Actually, we spoke with each other.
Yeah, I'm like a new
wonderful.
Nigerian. I guess I just did my DNA a couple years ago.
Therefore, we have to be Nigerian first. That's the
But
first
I'm not
thing
the tribe that you like. So I can't. I'm not the tribe that you like. So I can't.
Guys, I think I would have a lot to add to this discussion. But I want to make sure of what we're speaking about, because I must say I've just jumped on, and because it was Dynast, I decided to involve myself. So what exactly is the subject? I'm sorry to ask that question,
Hey,
but
Miss Chantel, you got 1 second. Miss Chantel, you have background noise coming from your end. I don't know what it is, so that's why I had to mute you.
You still hear it?
It's better now. Go ahead.
Oh,
Well, there
okay.
we go.
So
It's
I
better.
wanted, oh, okay. So I wanted to ask another question real quick. So with all this being said, I want to know because clearly the white man still has his hands upon African men. And when I say African, I mean all the diaspora, all Africans all over the world. They still have their hand upon the mindset of the African man. And I said man because men are our leaders. And they still have their hand up on the mindset of African men because they are still able to divide us. When Africans come here, when they go to the islands, I hear the same thing. They're not getting along with the people of the land. So, in America, they say, well, that's happening because when we get here, they tell us to stay away from Black Americans. They're bad and blah, blah, blah. But that is the white man, once again, playing games with the mindset. He wants to continue to divide. How can we, hold on a second. How can we come
I gotta
together?
interject, though. I don't believe this lie that when Africans and Caribbeans or whatever come to America, the first thing the white man says is, "Hey, stay away from Black Americans." I'm not buying that.
Me too.
Well, why we divided? What's the
Because every black
problem?
person wants to be special and unique. That's it. Black people do everything they can not to be associated with each other. Black people are like this. Ooh, I want to be the first black person in this neighborhood. I want to be the first black vice president. I want to be the first this and that. They don't ever say like, dude, how can we all come up together? Black people have a totally individualistic mindset, which is rooted in the fact that we think that we gonna be like white folks. Black folks think if they act a certain way or separate themselves far enough from other blacks, they will become white. It's always been that way in America. And even if you go to Africa, there's Africans who, when they're in close proximity to whites, act the same exact way. Who do y'all think y'all presidents is acting like? Y'all presidents don't even act African. They act like white people. They buy their estates in England. They rub elbows with white folks. They eat pizza every night for dinner. Why? Because they think that they are something better than you. They don't look at themselves like the common African person from this country is like me. They're like, man, I'm a black European, bro. And if I hear people call themselves black Brits. What the hell is a black Brit, bro? Like,
Yeah,
you are
Black
just
Brit,
a black person.
my brother, you're very correct in many things that you're saying. But we must also be careful to understand how these things come about. We can't just be labeling, blaming, pointing at each other. It's very rude. Black Brit is the same as African American. It's exactly the same. So put that aside because it's not an argument. What it is, you see, what we're going through is about the hierarchy. And in this global hierarchy, the English, the white, the European is at the top of that hierarchy.
True.
All of us, you're quite correct, are actually trying to live that lifestyle, the lifestyle of somebody at the top. It's not necessarily somebody who's white. We've got to really understand that, yes, that's how we came into the last 400 or 500 years, and we've been beating each other up the wrong way. As a black Brit, if you like, a Nigerian in London, as I am, I know that in America, during the times of slavery, the people that already made slaves, they would be extremely abusive to the next slave who's coming in from Africa. Until that man's mind has changed into their mind, they're not satisfied. We must all take responsibility for the intertribalized racism that we play against each other. If we're not taking our own responsibility in that, then we don't have much to say. As a Nigerian growing up here in the UK amongst my Caribbean brothers and sisters, me and my family, we used to have to fight daily with Jamaicans, Trinidadians who disliked Africans at the time. It took a while for us to ingratiate ourselves and become one.
Why you didn't have to fight with the white man? I thought he was the one who was
It's not
behind
why
all this.
I didn't have to fight with what the white man is there. The white man is there. You understand? And in our school, my primary school, I had a notion in my mind that we as black people are going to win, because in my primary school, the white people were there, but there weren't many. and we control the school. It was when I left primary school into the secondary school ages that I understood how the world is actually working. And that
What were you gonna win against? It was just some self-hating Negroes trying to
no,
fight
when I
against you
say
because they don't
win,
like
I
you.
mean when I say mean, because my mind is quite different. I'm quite a practical person. I was born in Nigeria, so I'm Nigerian inside. I've got a strong Nigerian understanding. Don't worry about my accent, because globally we all speak differently. Globally, again, where most of us are Nigerian in one way or the other, especially in South America, Caribbean, America. Most of those who live there ingratiate themselves now are born of those boundaries that call themselves Nigeria. Now, the fight isn't necessarily against the white man. The fight is more against those within us that act to oppress us for the white man. If you can get
Facts.
hold of him and take those out, then you have a
You
fight.
don't even have to. You don't even have to fight those people because those people have no power. It's like in America, you got
No, they
some
have power.
self-hating. But listen, you in
Power.
America, you got some self-hating coon Negroes. Literally, you could walk away from them, never interact with them ever, and there wouldn't be a single thing they could do. I just went to war with the King Coon, Tariq Nasheed. Literally, we got in a courtroom. That man cried in front of that white lady for hours. Ultimately, he had zero power to stop me from doing anything I wanted to do. And that's what we have to understand. There is no fight. We're fighting against air. All you got to do is decide, look, I'm just not going to interact with these niggas and go this way. But we like want to drag them and save them and convince them and debate with them and argue with them. There's no argument. There's only success and upward mobility.
See, Diners, this Brandon, I get what you are saying, that they are not as powerful. I always say that about our leaders too, and it's a little bit more complicated because, like in the case
Much
of
more.
some from francophone countries where the people rise up and want to take out the leaders, the French troops in those countries will suppress the coup or the movement to remove those corrupt leaders. So you see that on the continent they actually intervene to actually thwart the ones that want to get rid of the ones that are not supposed to be representing the people. So it's not as straightforward. Like recently in Nigeria, when the court cases were going on against the president, like people were thinking that he cheated and all the rest of it, and people were afraid that there was going to be a coup. What happened? The British people sent a ship to the coast of Nigeria and acting as if they are coming to help Nigeria, but the timing indicates that they were worried that the Nigerian military may go after the leader and they are there to thwart it. So it tells you that these people, they are not just necessarily without power.
It's not
Their
that power at
positions
all.
there
They have a lot of power.
is being assured by foreigners. And until we understand that, we are not going to necessarily fully appreciate what we are dealing with here. And I think the same thing happens even in the African American community and the Brazilian. The South Africans confess to it. I saw a South African official that said they used to go into black communities to cause divisions. That's a white man telling us that. This is something they know fully well. They know how to play us against each other. Is the most efficient way to control people, isn't it? Divide and rule. And anybody that wants to pop up, they knock that one's head down. You just have to
Yeah.
be prepared for everything.
Which is why we have to really worry about who's standing next to us. And when I say worry, I mean it is interesting. It's necessary to debate. It's necessary to have communication with our brothers and sisters. It's very, very necessary because we've all been twisted in different ways. You see, what's happened to African Americans and what's happened to Africans on the continent, it's similar, but it's not the same. So for us African Americans and Africans on the continent to communicate, there's a strain, there's a difficulty initially until we really get down and sit down and say, listen, let's break bread, let's understand who we are, let's understand the enemy within, and let's understand how it is that we're going to move this thing forward. Without us understanding that we need to unify, and the fact that we are so estranged from each other, even at this late stage, we're going to lose. It's purposeful to take your time. It's purposeful to love. It's purposeful to love your
Miss
enemy.
Chantel left. I wanted to answer her question because she wanted to know why the division. You see, when I left Africa, the concept of being African wasn't even in my head. And the color light skin and all of that. I knew people look lighter than me, but it didn't make no difference to me. So when I left Africa, I met Caribbeans and all these groups of people. They already had an idea of what an African was. That idea that they had, there was nothing positive about it. I just saw that we were all the same. It was difficult to play with those people. The only people that played with you was the white people. They made fun of you, but it was not as how your own people made fun of you. You see, so the division is always it's amongst us, because there are some of us that think they're better than some. There's this elite.
That's what a young man is saying. Yeah.
That's going on
But
among.
is that true though, or we that come from Africa sometimes, because we come to a white man's country, we are already biased to wanting to
No.
be
I'm
like the
talking
white
about my
man?
experience, not somebody else's experience. When
Yeah,
I say
let
great,
me explain what I'm trying to see, because you may not even sense it, because those people, the ones that see you, they see you as, for want of a better word, a coon. Because sometimes that's what because me as
I'm a
a
child.
Nigerian,
I'm
let,
a
let
child.
me let me explain what I think may be going on, because you might be thinking they're
Let's
just hating
camera up,
you.
man. Let's camera up,
Yeah.
man. I want to see who I'm talking to. I know
You know me
Naija
now.
already.
I'm African
Exactly.
white guy. You don't need to.
So they may be looking at you, or that may be
I
another
know.
explanation, as a kind of traitor already, like you are doing everything to thwart them. Because
We were
I know,
children.
hold on, I know, as Ghanaians in Africa as it is, in those days, we know some of the things the Ghanaians used to say about Nigerians. Even we in West Africa,
Yes,
Ghanaians
sir.
used to look down on Nigerians. There was videos that go around, I think in the 50s or the early 60s, where Ghanaian was talking down to Nigerians. So
Do you
it
know what
tells
we
you
call
that
Nigerians?
no, she was saying, Nigerians are beggars and all these people. We look at them and they just, and
Naija, do you know
she
what we
was
call
giving
Nigerians?
the Europeans a big benefit of the doubt. See, I'm not trying to use it to criticize you. I'm saying, regarding
You
topic
can say
that,
whatever you want.
that is in discussion here, is that there's a reason why we ourselves distance ourselves from our own groups. So we may not know it, that we are doing it subliminally, and we are doing it in a way that others can detect. Like people from this thing now, this in the Caribbean, they are very, very much aware. They are very aware,
Of
more
what?
than us, that they know who their rivals are, who their enemies are. They are not, their eyes are not closed at all. But we are Africans. When you come here, most of us are just like so like into colonial stuff. We love colonial
To Naija, what I was trying to
things.
say is
Wait,
the way
wait, wait.
they
If I can
understand.
just touch on that. Sorry, my brother. If I can just touch on that, you're quite right too, Naija, about what you're saying. That comes from the fact that those who first came into the UK, for example, they were of the educated class, that they were going to universities, that they had a certain mindset. So they weren't really dealing with those that in this country they call working class at the time, of which the Caribbeans that came in here fitted in more better with the working class. But it was still all going towards the English. So if you're Caribbean, you are with the white working class. If you are African, especially of Nigerian ilk, you are going more towards the educated and upper classes. So that's how we fitted in. However, time has changed. And, in the last 40, 50 years, things have I can't necessarily say that I'm of this class or the other class. What I am in this country is a black man with the rest of my black people. That's what I am. And that's how we grew up in the UK. You understand? Over the last 40, 50 years. Those who have just come in have to be able to fit in to where they find space for themselves to get on financially, and where they find a space for themselves to get on socially. So these are
That's an interesting thing. I never really thought about it from that point of view. So Roland, I think you were saying something. Sorry, we interrupted you.
Yeah.
Roland.
I don't know. Let me read the super chat. PCH rides. I guess that means Pacific Coast Highway. Shout out to my Cali folks. We have been brainwashed and bought into the white man's American exceptionalism doctrine. Thank you for the $20 holla.
Yeah, the royal image. Please go ahead. I think you were saying something.
No, what I'm saying is, in the black world, there's some at the top, like I said before. In the black world, the black man in America is the head, the Caribbean is second, and then the black Brit is third, and at the bottom is the African. The African has no say, no power, no nothing. You understand? So that's why it's easier for everybody to pick on the African. When I got here, the concept of this person is lighter than me and all of that. There was lighter people in Ghana, but it never made any sense to me that they were different from me. And when I came here, I never grew around white people. I never saw no white people. So there's no way I'm going to play with some white people. Makes no sense because I don't know these people. They look weird. How can I go play with them? They don't look like me, but there's a group of people that look just like me, look everything like I can find myself in them. That's me. But the moment you go there, it's like you don't belong here. You see what I'm saying? Everybody tease you, white, black, whatever. Everybody tease you. But again, the people that will play with you is the Europeans and all. They laugh at you the same way, but at least they will play with you. But on the black side, they won't even play with you because you're a funny looking guy.
That's
Now, mind you, I'm
interesting.
not some ugly guy.
I must say your experience may be slightly more
You
unique
have to
than mine.
understand, right? There's a lot of misinformation. Like I once watched a documentary. They were like interviewing two African American footballers from Nigeria. This was done in the 80s. So they were like these two boys. They were from Lekki, but the camera crew came to Ajegule and started. That's a motion where like all that swamp was, and started doing their interview there, talking about this is Nigeria and this is where these guys are from. But those guys were from Lekki. It's just like instead of you going to like Beverly Hills, California, you go to Skid Row and start doing an interview there. So there's a lot of misinformation about how Africans are. They think all
What
of
does
us
that
live in
mean?
the hot.
You're talking about the geography of where somebody lives for your own sense of pride. If you're
No,
truthful
no, no,
about
no. Oh, wait,
sorry,
no.
my brother. Wait, let me just say this as a Nigerian.
No.
If you're
Okay.
if you are truthful about the
Uh-huh.
way Lagos is, then we know that me and you both know that Lagos is a dump. It's a complete dump. The
No,
fact
no.
that you have Ikoyi,
No, wait.
BI, Lekki, the fact that you have one or two of these places doesn't mean a hill of shit.
No, no,
Doesn't
no,
mean
no, no.
anything. The place is a dump.
Understand my point. Understand my point.
I know your point, bro.
Those two boys were from Lekki, right?
So
They
what?
didn't show
So what
Lekki.
if they were from
Wait,
Lekki?
wait, no, wait. Get me. They didn't show Lekki, and then they now showed Ajegunle. They just went straight to the worst place, and they were like, "Oh, this is Nigeria," and then they were not even talking about the boys or their background.
Okay,
They
you
were like,
answer
"Oh,
me
this is
this. You
Nigeria."
answer me this question.
Wait, it's an
I want
American
you to answer
football
me this
interview.
question. I want you
Okay,
to
go
answer
ahead.
me this question. Is
Go ahead.
Ajegunle more associated with Lagos as a whole, or is Lekki more associated with Lagos as a whole? Which one capitalized Lagos for you? Without lying or without speaking shame. I'm listening.
Look,
I'm
I have
listening
no,
for the answer.
I have no clue.
And you have
I
no.
don't
I
know.
tell you, Ajegunle is more like the Lagos that me and you know than Lekki is. Full stop. All the
Okay,
rest of
okay. No. Now I get your point. Okay, yes, it is. It's more like
course,
Lagos than
of
yes.
course.
But that was not the point I was making. The point I was making is they never show any positive light on Africans.
Bros,
It's just like me now. It's just like me doing a documentary on America, and I don't show Capitol Hill. All I just show is like, oh, violence in Chicago. So this is just the information that is getting to them.
I do understand
That's
the
what I'm
point you're
saying.
European
making.
and Africa is not that different.
Yeah, that's a fair point because
There is no positive image of.
if you think about it,
There was no positive image of Africa. Nothing
there's
positive. They're
not
not
a
even
lot
like,
of
oh, they go
no.
to school.
You can go to this is CNN or BBC website right now. You click the African link. It's often negative news that you're
That's what I'm saying. There's no.
So I agree with that one. And
What we
I
are
think
saying
the
is
point you're
balance.
making is quite self-evident that this is one of the biggest contributions to the continent
To
or the
hatred,
continent
self-hatred.
by Wodemaya. Wodemaya did a lot of good work on that front.
Great
Actually,
work. Great
he did
job.
a lot. I think he's done the best work I've seen on that. Go ahead.
Because right, all the information is coming from the British, and those people have an agenda to portray Africa in one way. You understand? So the way they choose to portray Africa is always negative and is always to bring down the mentality of the blacks. If you see anything about when any relationship with blacks and whites, is always the blacks were always slaves, the whites were always masters. For example, if you watch Spartacus, it's like that. All the gladiators were white and all the slaves were black. If you watch Troy, right?
Yeah, but what's
If
wrong
you
with
watch the Troy,
story? If I'm writing a story, I'm not gonna make myself inferior. So you can't blame them. That's their
wait,
system. They
no, no,
run
no,
it.
no, 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 no. Get my point. Get my point. This now is real life, right? Troy was a story written by Homer, and Homer wrote that Agamemnon was black, right? He wrote that the king of Troy was the uncle to Agamemnon, so he should have been black. Then he wrote that Perseus, who was the king of Persia, married um, Andromeda, who was an Ethiopian. So all these characters were black. You never see them, right? But then when it's time for a pirate, you don't see the black characters coming out. Oh, this is the, like,
Yeah,
for example, in Game of Thrones.
but you see, that is what they are supposed to do. I think I agree with Royal Image what he
Of
said. That
course.
it's up to us to tell our own stories.
Absolutely.
And even when we tell our own stories, even in African programs, you see that they tend to make the villains the darker ones. And even they don't even realize that they are doing it because subliminally many of us have been compromised. Like I said, we watch too much Western media. We are not doing we are not creating our own narrative, and this is the reason, part of the reasons why we are having those discussions there, Jago, because we have to start projecting ourselves into the world with our own image,
I believe
with
that.
our own
I follow that.
narratives.
I follow that completely. This is right. Whilst I was hearing the our brother now, what's in your name? What's in the name again? I was Star
Started night.
Study. Whilst I was listening to him, I was thinking everything you're saying is correct, but everything you're saying is about 40 years old in terms of how we're thinking today. Because you see, the way Lagos is a God-given beauty. But what Nigerians have done with Lagos is they've turned it into hell. Nigerians did it. The Oyibo didn't do it like that.
That's big,
Nigerians
bro.
did it. So don't get yourself twisted. Is what I'm saying.
Lagos is not
We
totally
have something. We have something from the
No,
grass.
no, Lagos is a dump. Leave it.
It's a complete dump.
Lagos, yeah.
We have something, but Lagos that I remember at my youth is not like the Lagos of today.
I do. Lagos
Yeah,
is quite vibrant, though.
exactly.
It's a
Yeah, it
beautiful
might be some
place.
kind
No,
of
no,
dump. Yeah, yeah.
Natural
Lagos has
lagoon.
gotten better. Lagos has gotten better now
Let me tell
than in
you,
the 2000s.
the
It's way
water
better
in
now.
the Lagos Lagoon right now was not how it used to look when I was young. That water
There's more
was see-through.
population.
It was see-through. You can see into it. You can't see it. It's just mud now. Mud and
You see,
muck.
Nigeria, I was saying the same thing about Ghana, and you were saying no. You see what?
No. I was
what you're
just
saying?
trying. So sorry. See, I thought you were referring to everywhere in Ghana. I didn't know that you were saying some parts. So that was my mistake.
These are
Sorry
the
about that.
we
Okay.
keep
So
destroying.
now, another point I'm trying to make is like our history, right? The history we got from the white man. This is not the full story, and on most of the time, it's not even the real story. So we have to be careful, like the kind of information we take in. Like we have to be very vigilant because all this is what is like the main reason for all this self hate. Is all this misinformation? Oh, you guys did this. Meanwhile, it's not even true. For example, they said like the Portuguese introduced maize into Africa, and I'm like,
It's ridiculous.
yeah, go ahead.
See, I
Yeah,
think we have a lot of, for me, one of the biggest challenge we will have, even when we start taking control of our own narratives, is disconnecting ourselves from the mainstream media of the Western world. Because like this YouTube now is Western, isn't it? WhatsApp, Instagram, everything is Western, and cloud oligarchs, they have a lot of power, and they can shape and reshape people's mindset in the millions and maybe even billions. So, and we as Africans, we are the only group that sign on to a totally different races and this is network. Like the Chinese, they have their own. Indians have their own. Russians have their own. But we are the only group that is living completely on a European network. Hence, why are we surprised we see our women wearing wigs or our men, wanting setting standards of Western standards for our people? This is what happens.
that's true.
And that is a big challenge because we don't have
You made a very
data.
good point there.
We don't have data supremacy. Our data is in the hands of
Exactly.
Western people, and now with AI coupled on top of it, God knows what they are capable of doing with it. So we have to start fortifying ourselves against some of all these things and start living in the current century. We can't keep looking back. Sooner or later, we have to start living for this century and start changing the narrative. And these type of discussions, we are having discussions on the continent and online to start thinking of ways to meet the challenges of this century that we are in, because this is a very, very interesting time. And there is a lot. Today they are just having a meeting about AI threat to Western civilization. You know, the British Prime Minister is chairing a meeting of AI threat. This is something that they are afraid of. Not to mention us. Maybe this is this is when Africans will say, okay, we don't have a lot of technology, so we don't have to worry anything about it. But if they can control it, it's extremely dangerous to us. I've used some of all these technologies. They are extremely powerful. They can do and undo, and they may not even need us anymore. So we have to be very, very aware of what is going on around the world and start challenging the narrative. We have a lot of people everywhere. It's a blessing to an extent. We
That's
have
a
people,
feedback.
our people in America. We have our people in the Caribbean. We have our people in Brazil. We have
Yeah.
in Africa. So we have our people all over the world. We have a network.
Our
We just
network
have to
that
build
we
it.
are not using.
We are not tapping into it at all. Completely disconnected. By and large, we are completely
What we're
disconnected.
wasting time doing is blaming each other and blaming white man. Waste of time.
That
Waste of
UN,
time and energy.
that UN General Assembly that they do every year is a good opportunity for all African leaders to converge. On short, almost the whole world converges there. Find a way to have a meeting on the side.
Africa don't have like leaders, man. We don't have, at least at the presidential level, we don't.
We have
No,
puppets.
Those guys are
that's right.
clowns. They are puppets.
That's right.
That's
Now, the fact
and that's our biggest problem, especially in Nigeria. Like the states don't have any power.
It's
Everything
not
is
just
just
Nigeria. You see, look, when we got
no.
independence,
I said especially in Nigeria.
see, when we got
I
independence, all the systems that we were using, the British, let's say you right?
Can you turn your volume up, bro? I can't hear you very well.
My volume, I can't control my volume.
No, I don't know. You're not coming
I
through
hear you.
as
I hear
loudly
you
as
fine.
everybody else.
I hear you fine.
Okay.
So what I'm
Django, you
saying
may want
is,
to turn up your speaker.
prior to us getting independence, the systems that was in place was all from the European, right? All we did was inherit the system that they left us. All those systems they had in place before we got control of it, or before they allow us to be into it. All those systems were designed for them to take things out. The system was not designed for them to put anything in the land. Everything was to take out. All they did was take out. So what we have inherited is a system that's built off of robbing. That's why our leaders can rob and steal, and you can't do anything. We're able to see that we're robbing each other because now one of us is at the throne. We can see him, that he's getting rich, and we're complaining. But all the system that we have inherited is not ours. It's designed to rob and destroy us as a people. No system that they will give us is ever going to make us profitable. None of it is going to help us.
You see, the greatest damage is actually being done by our leaders standing our people down. Like I don't know how many African countries that can build anything. African countries that can build
our
anything.
leaders, man.
Even Hamas is able to build tunnels. Hold on, within 10 years, Hamas is able to build tunnels around the whole Gaza, causing havoc right now. But I don't think our leaders have even one African country has been able to pull that one off. It's some crazy stuff. They've stood our people down. They don't want to use them to defend the country. They don't want to use them to innovate, industrialize, nothing. And that is the biggest damage. Not even the exploitation that the Europeans are exploiting us. They are keeping us underdeveloped.
It's supposed to be that way. The presidents are supposed to be that way because that's the system they inherited. Because
that's not good enough. That's not good enough.
Hold on.
The fact that we inherited a system and then we kept that system, that is our fault. That's the fault of the African. We have to understand where we're supposed to take responsibility. All this blaming, it's not going to get us anywhere.
I agree with you, and
I think again, I'm sorry to say this, but I think I'm older than most people who are presently on this panel. And I'm telling you, it's the same rhetoric from when I was a child that is being used today. So we can't have 50 years of the same rhetoric going.
What system does the Chinese and the Indian use?
Well, again, it's because of the Chinese and Indians that made their own.
They still use the British system, like
let's try to understand
the Indians.
See, they have their own system. What language do they use to govern their people?
He's not understanding.
No, what language do they use to govern their people?
Their own system, their own language, Hindu language.
You can't govern your people in another man's language. You're never
See, in Nigeria, there's no Nigerian language.
But you
there's no Nigerian language.
You can pick one
We
and
have
make it.
Nigerian language now, but it's just that we've not made it official. That's the
No,
problem.
no, he's correct. There is no such language called Nigerian, is what he's saying. There are so many other languages
But
that
all
are
we have to do is just
Nigerian, but they're not Nigerian
We
as
can
a
choose.
language,
We can
one
choose
language.
a major.
China. It's not just
South
one
Africa
language.
has multiple national official languages. We can choose 4, 5, 6 in Nigeria and say, okay, these are our
Yes,
official
but it's
languages.
not the main language. Like you have to like translate or you have to do this.
Correct.
So everyone just speaks English because that's the language you can agree
In
on.
India, they have
Correct.
they have lots of languages, but they have one they teach. You see, in
I-
India,
I-
it's not just
I-
one language. In
It's
China,
the
it's
same
not
in
one
India
language.
too. India they speak English too, but their official language. You can
Is
still
Hindu.
choose to have multiple.
Hindi.
Yes, you can still choose to have multiple African language, like Nigerian languages as official language. You can still choose multiple, maybe even 10. There are the countries in Africa that have up to 10. How are they coping? They are able to do that, not can they? So we need to start doing some of all those things, and we need to start crafting our own. We can't keep complaining. Like I think a lot of people are down, down and out about that one. And
Yeah,
to be
man.
fair, we are already doing some of that. We are trying to shape our own narrative, think about a totally different way of perceiving the world from our own point of view. And part of it is going to be how to decouple our mindset so that it's not like we are trying to have a divorce with the world. It's about having a space so that when the negative stuff is coming through, we filter it out. We take the good part and filter out the negative the stuff that they impose on our people, because clearly the program that I was watching today, the lady basically confessed that she was brainwashed by watching the Kardashian to go and start wearing wig for her husband. That is crazy stuff.
Yeah, but
and,
she's
and
only doing it to please them. She's trying to please her husband.
yeah, but that is wrong. Why are you busy watching Kardashian anyway?
That's what
That's
important.
where leadership comes from.
That's important to them. If they make you happy, cool.
How many Chinese people are watching the Kardashian? Eh?
Yeah, but
I mean, you
the
think they care
market,
about the Kardashian?
Kardashian market is the black man and the black woman. That's their market. You have to have a market to sell to.
We are literally the ultimate racial order. We look very different from most groups. Why would you be watching another people's culture and their way of life when you should be teaching? In a way, it's leadership, isn't it? You have to project yourself so that people copy you instead of you copying people constantly. And you are
The whole world, we are the most unique people on this planet. Even just forget the
See,
skin, you can find an Indian that's darker than most Africans or some Africans. But our hair, there's no group of people on this planet that have our hair. We are unique, but that uniqueness that God has given us, we don't like it because somebody had figured out how to make us hate that uniqueness that
look,
have been
you
blessed. That's the only thing.
they have been quite effective, at doing that.
wait.
It's crazy. It's really
You
crazy.
don't understand like the amount of brainwashing we have had. For example, our ancestors used to wear their hair naturally. Men, women, they wore their hair long. They plaited it. The white man came here and he called. So there's a religious sect that wear like dreadlocks, right? Locks. This sect, they do it religiously. The white man came and he called it dreadlocks because he didn't like them. Those guys were always against him, fighting him. So he called it dreadlocks and he was like, if you want to work for us, you have to cut your hair. So that's where all these mindsets come from now. So now if you see a young Nigerian boy, the older generations are like, this guy is wayward because he's wearing like locks. He's wearing his hair long. So there is like serious amount of brainwashing and like we have
And
been
again,
our image has been
from what I
really
gather,
destroyed.
from what I
See, in Ghana,
gathered, I'm
the
not sure
priest
how
wore that.
accurate it is. Let me just add this. From what I gather, during the time when they colonized Africa, they started making our women cut their hair, and at school, and the men too, they were cutting their hair. That's why the culture of us growing our hair died off. Even till today, our girls at school still have to cut. In short, the girls and boys, if they go to primary school, I think up to secondary to an extent, they still have to cut their hair
And
completely. This is
some
this is
schools make
something
them
that
cut
most
their hair.
groups in the world don't do. Pardon?
Yes, exactly.
That's all European. You see, and then when the grown women they go to talk to these
Man,
children, they can
you
see
don't
themselves.
understand what the European have done to us. Not just physically, but mostly mentally and psychologically.
It's
That's why
mental,
I'm always
spiritual,
trying to
all of every aspect of our life they've manipulated. The first school that they
exactly.
built, again, I'm just gonna say Ghana. It was by the missionaries. They built the schools and they were educating children. By the time the child completed the school, they went home. They don't think like the mama. They share a different idea.
Oh,
They know Jesus now. They don't want.
I think we have a responsibility to start pushing our leaders to change these things because, you know, our judges in Nigeria, they still wear that European wig, something that even the Europeans don't even bother, but
Don't
Nigerians
even
will try
worry.
to defend it. They still wear that European wig,
Man,
talking down
I
the
get so mad. I get so mad when I see that wig. You don't even understand. I get so
we need
mad,
to
man.
start the younger generation and or anyone that is, you know, are conscious of this thing should be nagging them and telling them you have to change this.
But
You
You have
can't
to
be setting
change.
this example for the young
it's an
generation
achievement.
anymore.
It's an achievement to receive that wig, to put that wig on. You see what I'm saying? The same way the woman is an achievement for her to buy a wig and put on because now she's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's an achievement.
And that narrative is a poisonous and destructive one. It decays us from the inside. And sometimes some things are even more dangerous than a 1 million man standing army because you are doing it from within. You know, you are compromising your people to see other people as superior. Once you do that, you've considered your evolutionary purpose because now they are more desirable. I think there is this information going out there that I don't know how true it is, that the Romans, you know, the Romans have black hair. So one of the things they did was they said, you know, all prostitutes have to wear blonde hair because they are associated with barbarians of the north. Guess what? Over time, their women start desiring blonde hair, their men start desiring blonde hair, and blonde hair became the standard. So you have to be careful what you wish for sometimes when you start subscribing and associating certain powerful traits to other groups because sooner or later they will dominate you from the inside.
Let me pass it to Chrissy. Go ahead, Chrissy.
Yes, hi everyone. No, I just
Hello.
caught the
Hello.
hi. I just caught the conversation on, us being brainwashed and stuff. We just need to turn off the TV. Black people watch more TV in America than any other group of people.
Check that.
Turn off the television. You can do tailored
But you guys have to
programming.
go
Go
to
to
schools.
YouTube. What
Yeah,
was
see,
that?
Christy, the school system. That's what I'm saying. We
The
inherited.
school system is brainwashing.
Okay, but why are you taking your child to that school system? We always act so helpless. You can
Well said, my lady.
You know what
Well
I'm saying? Like you can my
Um,
personally, my children go to a Black Muslim school. That's what I chose for them. You can homeschool your children. You can find Afrocentric schools. We
That's
always
right.
act so helpless.
It's terrible.
We're not helpless.
Be careful before he starts desiring Arabic women. You know,
No,
you have to watch out
well, it's a black. There are
because
black. There
that's
are
what
black
tends to
people there.
happen. Oh. That's
There,
I'm
there.
just letting you know.
I hear you, but it's a Black
no,
Muslim school.
Arabs
It's
can
a
be worse
Nation
than
Islam
white.
school. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, me at home, I talk to my children about their history. Tell before can know about anybody else, you have to know yourself first. When I start with Black history, I start from the beginning. Adam and Eve, mitochondrial DNA, because that's where our history begins. And then I work my way down. We as a people, we are not a studied people. We are lazy. We want somebody else to come and do the work.
And do it for us.
All
All
we
over the
want
world.
to do is run our mouth and complain. We don't actually want to take the initiative and say, dang, I don't know this thing. Let me learn it so I can teach my children. That is why we continue to find ourselves in this position. We are lazy as a people, period. That's our biggest problem.
So,
Go on, Chrissy. You love them vibe there, darling. That's what you feel speak.
Seriously.
Absolutely.
There's some truth there. I think our laziness is not necessarily universal because we are strong, but it's when it comes to building within ourselves, that's when the laziness is really magnified. We don't do things to build our communities. We don't work hard at it at all. It's scary how hard other people work to build their societies and communities, but we don't. We can't even, like in Nigeria got flooded. We didn't even dredge. We couldn't even dredge our own rivers to avoid flooding.
Just
We'd rather
helpless.
sit there and have our country get flooded. It's some crazy set of. So that in a way, I agree because is it laziness or just we are just so disorganized that we can't
It's the leadership. There is no
lack
like.
of discipline. When you're not disciplined and you're lazy, you're gonna be disorganized.
Well said. Oh my God.
We have the spirit of laziness. We have to literally fight against that spirit.
That's not true.
It's true.
Are we not lazy?
No. You can't tell that to your child that we have a lazy spirit.
I'm not going to tell that to my child. My
believe-
children are not here. I'm
you
talking
can't
to
come
y'all
out here
as
and believe
adults.
that you have a
I
lazy
would
spirit.
never tell my children that.
Do you believe you have a lazy spirit?
Sometimes I do. Sometimes I will be honest. I have to fight against the spirit of
pointing the
laziness
finger.
within
It's
myself.
not about pointing the finger at what she's seen. It's about taking the wisdom in what's been said. We can be pernickety
I
on
don't believe we
issues.
lazy spirit.
We lazy.
Bro, I'm in the UK. You guys are in the States. In the UK, I can tell you that there's a lot of power in the black community. But more than that, there's a confusion. And that confusion does lead to laziness. I'm sorry. I don't know how else we can spell this out.
What's the
We have to be
confusion?
able to, my brother, we have to be able to tell ourselves the truth.
What?
If we keep
See, Jago, I don't know whether I will call it laziness per se, because we do have energy for a lot of other things, like
no,
fighting each other and all the
I
rest.
said why you see
It's
the
like
people,
lack
you
of
see the people on
self-belief.
this panel. You see the people on this panel. We already have a reason to be on this panel. There's a love that every one of us has. There's something that every one of us is doing within our own selves that is pushing our personal agenda and trying to do the best as an upstanding black individual in this planet. I believe that. There are many of us, bro. The thing is, at the grassroots, there are so many people that I talk to, black people, who haven't got time for this conversation that we're having. They don't have the time. They don't think about it. It's not part of their pursuance. If you go there and you win, they'll jump on board. But to come and help, that's a different issue. You understand?
Let me chime in right quick. Let me chime in right quick. Can I chime in
All right,
right
go
quick?
ahead. Go ahead.
Real quick. We cannot be calling each other lazy and all of this, because we are a people worldwide that has been placed under different systems that was not created for us to excel. We are not supposed to excel under those systems, and we're going to acknowledge that first of all. Even in America, in the school systems, your children is taught to be a worker ant. They're not taught anything about being an entrepreneur, starting their own business or anything like that. That's all they're taught, to be a worker ant. Black men in this country, you can have a PhD, but a white boy with a GED would get hired before you. We have to admit that those things are happening in this country.
I don't believe.
Hold on one second. Let me get it through. Let me get it through. It is not a fair playing ground for everybody. Black men versus white men and Asian, you are not on a fair playing ground here in this country, and I'm quite sure abroad. So we can't be saying each other is lazy. We don't, a lot of us don't want to invest time into something we don't see ourselves advancing from. So with that mindset, you need to become an entrepreneur. You need to have some type of entrepreneur mindset in order to advance. But we can't just say, oh, you lazy. That's not true.
Sis, we lazy. I'm sorry. Because look at the Palestinians right now. Everybody talking Palestinians, right? They've been bombarded everybody just learning about what they've been going through. Even under bombardment, even under occupation, Hamas found the time to build a tunnel that is longer than the whole of Gaza. Okay? In that in your face, unadulterated oppression. They still found the energy, the organization to organize themselves to do the little that they say they're doing. So we as a people, especially in America, who have more resources, let me finish, please, who have more resources, especially in this country, than any other group of people, and we're not using it. No, if the white man don't want to hire you, then we have to work for ourselves. We have to treat our young people to be entrepreneur. But I would never tell my son, oh, it's a white man's system. Fine. The other day, my daughter came to me. She loved anime. She said, I don't really see a lot of black people in anime. She was very sad about it. I said, well, it looks like we're going to have to create our own anime. Then she perk up. That gives you power. That means that, oh, it's not helpless. I have the power to make the change. Now, you don't have to be in a people in them system. If they don't want you in their system, that means we have to create our own. As long as our hand and our foot is not chained, we can do it. So, yes, we are lazy. And once we say to ourselves that we're lazy, then it's like, damn, that means I have the power. I can change my circumstance because I'm being lazy, then I will make a change. And once we are far from
laziness.
Remove the excuses. We are too full of excuses. And that's why we're getting nowhere in the richest country in the world. Sorry.
My people have been fighting for far too long in this country, since way before I was born, and I'm quite sure way before you were born. Added together, they have been fighting, still fighting to this day. Against who? Against a system that is structured against them. This system is not a fair playing field for them. You have to.
It will
And
never
listen,
be.
they've been, hold on, listen, they have been fighting, they have been advancing. Black people still rising. You still got college graduates going. I'm only saying that it's not a fair system and you cannot advance in it. When you acknowledge that the system isn't good for you and you cannot advance in it, you must do something about that.
All right,
What do
there
you
you
do
go.
about that?
Let me
What
pipe
do
in
you
here,
do
ladies.
about that? You
Each
do
to their
I
own.
wanted
entrepreneurship.
to
Hold
add
on one
something to
second,
this.
y'all. One second. You do
Before you do,
entrepreneurship.
my friend,
One second, one second.
chief,
There's a
chief that
town in Deerfield, Michigan, where some Arabs or some Middle Easterners, they sat down, put their money together, bought up the whole damn town. All the white folks ran because there was too many of them. They
That's what
bought up
I'm
the
talking
whole
about.
town. So
That's what I'm
that's what
talking
I'm
about.
saying. We're not lazy people. We have to fight against a system daily, on a daily. We
You
have to
don't have
fight
to
against
fight.
a
Look,
system that is against
What
us.
she's
you
saying
We
is
do
that
have
have
we
to
are
to
not
fight
do
fighting
against
it.
the
against that
system. The
system.
Indians who come here with their head bound up, they don't go to fight in the white man system. They go and put their money together and start their own little thing,
That's my
even if
point.
it's a shack. So you don't have
That's
to
my
fight
point.
against nobody's system. That's our problem. We spend all this time fighting people who don't want you. Just realize they don't want you. They don't like you.
That's my
No
point.
problem. Now I'm going to do my own thing. Fighting against their system and you have nothing of your own don't make no sense. Waste of time.
hold
Waste
on,
of
That's
girl.
time.
my point. That's my
If I
point.
may, ladies, if I may, right quick. I like the 2 points that you're coming from 2 different areas, and I understand both points. It is rude and insulting to call ourselves lazy. I would admit that. However, how do we tell ourselves the truth? The truth is that there is different kinds of laziness. It's not just physical laziness. There's mental and
Or
spiritual laziness as well.
mentally, yeah.
Mental laziness is what we're going through. We don't want to think out this problem. We don't want to go into the deep depths that we need to conjure up what is good for us. And our leaders aren't doing it for us. So when we speak about lazy, we're talking about universally across the board where Africans are concerned. You understand? There is a laziness of mind, there's a laziness of spirit. Somebody, anytime we have black people speaking together, they speak as though somebody else is going to do it for us, or they speak about it's somebody else's fault. You see, we've got to get out of that frame, because that enters into laziness, I'm afraid. Once we think that somebody else is at fault, or once we think that somebody else is going to do it for us, we're in trouble. We have to understand that we are the only ones that is going to dig us out of the grave that we've been put in. So please, ladies, that I believe that there is lazy as a word. It is a horrible connotation. It doesn't leave a good taste in the mouth. If you tell an individual that he's lazy, that individual would feel a way about such a.
Or you can say mentally drained. Mentally drained, being living
Can I
under
add
a
to this, please?
system that's not good
No,
for
it's
them.
not
Please,
about
please,
us being polite. It's not
can
about
I
us.
just
You
can I
will,
just add to
bros. I'm
this?
gonna finish right now. It's not about us being polite. It's about us being deadly honest with ourselves.
So we
Deadly
can
honest.
change,
Of course. Laziness
right?
isn't stuck in the mud. Laziness isn't
Exactly.
a destination.
Okay. I've had this debate within myself and on panels like this before about, okay, I used to describe our men, which you can, looking at it from some perspective, describe African men and black men around the world as the least performing men, compared to the fact that they've not done much to defend their heritage compared to other groups. And given our size, we are terribly underperforming. And I've also subscribed to the idea that, okay, yes, we are also facing systems that have been designed to put us down, all that kind of stuff, all that comes with it. But in the end, what I find that we have been subject to is that, as the lady described what Hamas is doing, Hamas on a daily basis is watching what the world is truly like when they see oppression and the killing of their people and oppression directly. So they are motivated, they set their differences aside. In other words, their collective intelligence increases, they are able to work together. You can be individually intelligent, but if collectively you are not intelligent, you can't prosper. As a matter of fact, somebody has even done an experiment where they had a black graduate and an Asian that is not even a graduate, and looked at their life over time, I think about 10 years or so, they found that the Asian excelled more than the black person. Not necessarily because of the individual Asian, it's because as a group, they operate better compared to us. And the reason why that is because we've not had a galvanizing or catalytic event that allows us to set our differences aside and come together and fight as a group. And that, I keep saying that it's almost like a curse when you are wishing a curse on your people for that to happen. Because if you look at the Chinese, they were invaded, they were decimated, and they survived it. You have to be invaded, or something has to happen to you to unite your people to enough. It has to be strong enough for you all to set your differences aside and operate as a group. And that has not happened to us. What the Europeans did to us that was very clever was that when they colonized us, they had 60, 70 years to brainwash us. We didn't fight them to get freedom. If you look at the African countries that fought them to get their freedom, those African countries are expressing their independence more than all the other ones, and they are very, very few. Even South Africa, that barely even, that if you think about it, Mandela, a kind of compromise later on, but they express their independence more. Look at what South Africa is doing right now concerning Palestine. They are even asking the UN to send troops there. Look, the Nigerian president, are they saying anything? Nothing at all. Look at Algeria. Algeria expresses its independence in North Africa more than any group because they fought the French, because they are united and they have one of the largest military in Africa. The Chinese did the same thing.
Like,
so you see, the pattern is that you have to have a uniting factor. Hence why I was saying that I wish the French were stupid enough to go and invade Niger, because if they invaded Niger, that would have galvanized Africans. Africans would have seen what was happening, and they don't want to wake us up. They are very, very clever. They don't want to wake
very much, just like with Gaddafi. Gaddafi did what he did
around the world. They don't want to wake us up, because if they wake us up, they know they cannot hold us back anymore. Let me finish with this point. When the Japanese invaded China, a Chinese official told them in 1945 or so that thank you for doing this. You're woken us up, and look at where they are today. That's what happens when you are united, when something forces you people together, and nothing has done that for us. These Europeans are clever. They never look. Even when the coup happened in Niger, America spent months not even calling it a coup. They are shuffling left and right because they don't want to confront us. They don't want to wake us up.
And let's not forget about Gaddafi. He did what you're saying. He went around his country doing whatever it took to get his people united. What did they do? They came for him, huh? My people in this country been doing the same thing. My people in this country been okay. My people in this country been doing the same thing. Whatever they built up, they came and bombed it. You can never, it's far from being lazy. People may be mentally drained. People may be like, what? People tired of this shit. People tired of trying to operate. I'm talking about Black people in particular, tired of trying to operate in a system that they're not advancing in. The system is not for you to advance in. You must leave their system alone.
You can dislike it all you want. I've discovered that it has to rise to a certain threshold for a people as a group to act intelligently as a group. You have to have a uniting factor. I don't know any peaceful one. If anybody knows a peaceful way of uniting a people, you tell me, because we've seen movies where they say, oh, the country is falling apart, and when the king feels like everything is falling apart, they declare war against their neighbors and they unite the people again. Israel was about to go to civil war amongst itself. Now they are united. A government to fight this in Hamas. When people have a reason to unite and they feel the threat, they will unite. They will set their differences aside and unite. And we haven't had that.
Let me read this super chat, Mr. Sandman. There's a lot of feedback coming from you, Miss Chantel. Let me mute you. Here we go. Chrissy is raising strong, smart African children. Thank you for your contribution to the diaspora. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Sandman. If I could also add, someone in the chat was saying I'm talking about who's insecure. I'm talking about African American. I never said African Americans. I said Black people. So that's your own insecurity that you're projecting, because I meant Black people, period. I think that's what we all have been talking about on this panel. Black people, regardless they're in America or they're somewhere else. So I just wanted to say that because they keep putting it in the chat.
Well said, Chrissy. I read that just now and I thought,
projecting your own insecurities. That's not what I said. That's not what I thought.
You clearly said Black. You clearly said Black. But my
because
man
we all are lazy. We all have, I'm sorry if you don't like the word, because I know white people have used the word against Black people. for their own objective. But if we look at ourselves as a group, there's so much we could be doing, even working together. We just refuse to
Evidently
do it.
is even evidently not accurate, because I see Nigerians come from Nigeria all the time and excel beyond a lot of a group of people in Europe and many parts of the world. It's not. I've looked at this thing, and you have to do deductive reasoning and say, okay, we
Bros,
clearly know we are
you're still
strong.
getting her wrong. You're still getting her
No,
wrong.
I'm not getting her wrong. I'm not
No,
saying
she's not
that.
talking about
I'm
energy.
not.
She's not talking about we don't have energy. She's not saying that we don't have the energy to work for ourselves
You
and to.
talked
Yeah,
about
I'm not
mental
talking about
What
in
she's
the
talking
individual
about is
thing.
the collective
Thank you.
balance that we have
Thank
of
you.
thinking about this. Of thinking about this situation. Look, there's only a if the chat here, which is the panel and the comment section. I doubt if there's 200 people here. Yeah, I doubt. You understand? As soon as I saw what was going on, I came straight in because I know what I want to talk about. I know this thing. So with this, there are those of us who are thinking about these things and have it at the
But what
forefront
point
of
are
our
you
mind.
making? Then I understand what she's saying. Let me finish what I'm saying. Maybe you get the point I'm trying to make. I'm not
Okay.
saying what she's saying is wrong. I evidently on a micro level, it's correct. We seem not to be mentally agile enough to do what we need to do. But what I'm saying is that the way a group behaves is not the way individuals behave. You might know something consciously, but as a group, you can't function like that. And I've seen our people tear each other to pieces trying to find out what the problem is. But
How
the
about this?
answer is right there in the world. If you look at the way other people unite, what brings them together, you have to study it. I've been studying some of all these things. The one I've not found is a peaceful way of uniting the people to develop their nation. I'm trying to find it, and you only look at all the countries that have lost wars recently in terms of the
See,
Second World War and everything. They all are more developed than us. Japan, that was nuked twice, is more developed than us. Vietnam
look.
is more developed
See,
than us. Name them.
you have to understand something, right? All those people identify as one people. This was the clever thing the British and the French did. For example, now Dynas was asking, why is Badagry in Benin? I'm sure you're thinking it's in Nigeria. They did it that way. They would
Believe
take
me,
a tribe.
I've thought about that and deducted it. That's not the
Wait,
reason.
What I said
no,
was
no,
that
sorry.
Let him say
Let
what
me
he
just
said.
finish. Okay,
let
my
me
bad,
finish.
my bad. Let me finish my point.
Yeah,
Let me finish my point.
no.
For
What I
example,
was
now
saying,
there are Yorubas in
you're not gonna
Benin.
overtalk me. You're not gonna overtalk me. You're not gonna overtalk me. I said
Huh?
they had dancers, performers from Benin
Okay.
Republic dancing in Badagry.
Okay. Sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay.
That's what I
Sorry.
said.
Sorry. My bad. But for example, now there are Yorubas in Benin Republic. There are Yorubas in Nigeria, right? There are Hausas in Nigeria. There are Hausas in Niger. So what the British did that was clever was the Hausas were fighting the what's the name of this tribe from what's the name?
The
Ah,
thief, the
I've
thief.
forgotten. Yeah, the thief, exactly. Hausa were fighting the thief. Fulani was fighting Yoruba. What the British did is they put all these people together and formed a nation. They went to another country and they're like, oh, this one is fighting this one. We'll make them a nation. And that's why Africa has been held back like this. So, for example, in Europe, French are French, English are English, Chinese, most of them are Han, 90% are Han, Vietnam. So almost all these countries that you see prosper, they have this one identity. So the question is, how do we drop our tribal identities to get this one united identity that can make us prosper? That's like the main issue. So,
I just said it. You
from my point of view.
I just said it. You have to have a galvanizing factor that brings the group together. See, all these nations you describe, you'll be surprised. If you look at the texture of this nation, they have different groups too. In the UK, the Burmese accent, I don't even know where that one came from. There are parts of the UK, if they talk, you barely understand what they are saying. They are speaking English. Oh. So it's not as straightforward. They call themselves English. You will not know that there is texture to them, different groups of people within nations, even the Chinese and the Indians and name it. But what the difference is between them and us is the galvanizing factor. And I think it's almost deliberate that whenever Black Africa does anything, the way they respond in Black Africa is very different from the way they respond any other part of the world. They never, how many times have they taken F-16, jet fighters, troops, go to Africa and fight a war? No, they don't. Because if they do that, they know they wake up that 1.3 billion people. and they will not. Those people will never look back again. And this is the thing. They are very, very clever about it. And I think it's going to be, I don't know the remedy to this, because we've been asking this question over and over again. And the truth is, if you learn psychology, you will find out that the way people behave as a group is different from the way they behave individually. You can know it all you want, but you need something extra to galvanize people to come together and work together and build something. That is the missing ingredient. If anybody knows about it, study it, do some hard work, because I've been hearing this statement all the time. We are lazy, we are brainwashed, the system is against us, all this stuff. That is not enough, because we've seen smaller groups of people, even Hamas, within how many years, built tunnel around the whole. Nigerian leaders cannot even recruit enough people. They spent 8 years in government. They're supposed to recruit 10,000 police every year. They managed to recruit only 20,000, arguing amongst themselves. That is a country of 200 million people. It tells you something is wrong. This is a group thing, and we have to figure out how to get our people united. Anybody that can figure out a peaceful way of doing it, believe in me, I'm all ears. I'm looking for it. I've been looking for it for a very long time.
Get rid of the borders.
Not going to unite us. Yeah, we're just going to start xenophobia. Is it not dying as I trying to say? All those people that came to Nigeria are from Benin Republic. I'm just trying to. Oh, he wants to start. He wants to start. Oh, they are from Benin Republic. What are they doing in Nigeria? And stuff like that. So it's one of those things. If you do that piece in a way that doesn't galvanize the people, you're just going to have people fight each other again. That's the thing. You have to have something that unites the people. And God help us, man. I don't know what peaceful way of doing this. Maybe we need to get a Hamas. I don't know. I'm not advocating violence, but I'm just saying something needs to unite us.
One language, one kind of get rid of the borders, as in all these different checkpoints and stuff like that.
Let's hope one of these powers are stupid enough to go and attack an African country, or go after the African American massively or something.
Then you'll see unity.
Yes, you see it then.
Yeah,
it will happen automatically.
Maybe that's why they hadn't attacked yet.
My own is actually to take the opposite route. I believe like the ethnic unit should have more power. So if you're from if you're Igbo, you should govern yourself. If you're Fulani, you should govern yourself. If you're Yoruba, you should govern yourself. If you're from Benin, you should have more autonomy. That will help them. That will galvanize them.
We've tried that before, and look at where it got us.
Where did
you think we were when the Europeans arrived? We are governing ourselves. Look at where it got us. We were so divided. They just played us against each other and they took over. That's the name of the game now. Believe you me, I've gamed this thing out, and the only way is to find a way that can unite our people.
You can start.
That's the only way. And I've seen children in the UK here. All those kids taught me lessons. I've seen children in the UK here. I think Jargon is aware of this. They leave their school to go and fight the British government in the Middle East. Some of them are even young because they are galvanized. Because they feel like, okay, this is unfair on our people. And this is Middle Eastern people. Not to mention us that are 1.3 billion. You wonder why they don't want to tamper with Africa, the Black African space as much. Even African Americans will be like, enough, I can't tolerate this. We are going to go. You will see Brazilians moving. Africans that are in the UK, they will move to Africa. And that's going to unite us, and they will never look back, and they know it.
Well, in Colombia, I think the vice president is pushing for Kiswahili to be taught to the children. So, if you can have a unified language where all African diaspora was speaking one language like Kiswahili, the most spoken language on the African continent, maybe that can be a start.
I think the only clue I have to this is what the Ethiopians did. They had this way of having their citizens contribute to build the dam. So in other words, the people had a stake in the dam itself. So anybody that threatens the dam unites the people against them. So maybe there are things we can do within the continent and within our communities that all the people have a stake in it. They have to have a stake in something. And if anybody threatens it, it unites the people against whoever threatens that interest. So that is a clue in a way to do it peacefully. But other than football, and football is very transient. You have football or sports, you unite people for a bit and then they go apart again. you need something strong. And often when you see nations build and become strong, that is what galvanizes them. This Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew that we are talking about, they have very, very traumatic experience. North Korea, North Korea was almost completely destroyed. 80% of all structures in North Korea was destroyed. And within 4 years, they built an underground train network 100 meters below the ground. 4 years. Nigeria, we've never built anything like that for 70 years. And no African country has. No black African country anyway. That tells you what is going on here. We are completely disorganized. We are individually very capable. That should tell you something. We are individually very capable, very intelligent, but as a group, we are not very functional. We are very, very dysfunctional. That's our problem. Group intelligence, collective intelligence, and some people talk about IQ. And when that increases is when you have things that unite you, something that brings people together. Then you set your differences aside and you function as an entity. I see our community as an entity, and so far the body of our community has just been disorganized, and that is why nothing works. It's almost like every time you complain and complain and complain, nothing seems to work. The only thing that works for other people is massive level of conflict. It's crazy, but I'm still figuring out how to do this peacefully. Maybe that's the research we need to do. How to bring people together in a way that is being shown to work, because we can talk and talk. No other group I've seen that united just because they are speaking the same language, or because they are against, they want to form a kind of group. No, that's not good enough, because you always have divisions. Something else always forces them, and it often is conflict. Most of the time, invasion that forces them and galvanizes them to build something better. Even look at Germany that lost the war, and look at how developed they are. North Korea, South Korea, Vietnam, name them. They are all doing very well now. But
Well,
African countries are still behind.
China went through a lot of persecution themselves. They persecuted their own people in order
They went
to
through
get where
hell.
yeah.
They went through hell. And yet, look at where they are today.
Well, it takes a lot of
Determination. Sacrifice. Because you see, when you have seen so much loss of life, sacrifice is nothing anymore. Because when Mao Zedong, after the Second World War, after they've seen the hell the Japanese visited on them, he went to see Stalin. The first thing he asked for was the nuclear technology. It's like an African leader walking to Washington right now and asking for the best weapon that's even better than the nuclear weapon that the Americans have. That's like what he did. And Stalin was so shocked that he just gave them a tour. Then the next, Khrushchev came to office and gave the technology to the Chinese. Because the Chinese, they knew that nothing else mattered. Khrushchev tried to tell them, worry about the economy. We can protect you with our nuclear umbrella. They said, you know what? Up with your nuclear umbrella. We want the technology. And they took it. And since then, they never looked back. And look at where they are today. It tells you when somebody offers you economy and you want security, choose security. Because without security, everything you work is for other people, really. They will just come and take it. Isn't that the bully in the schoolyard playground? It's just what it is. This world is about power. If you don't fight for your people's protection and your people's self-determination, don't be surprised when everything you work for always ends up in the hands of the people that have protection. That's what happens, and that's why Africa has nothing to show for it. We can't even build anything. I still find that astounding. We can't build. We can't seem to build anything. Is there any structure we know that is known around the world that is built by Africans? Can somebody tell me?
Yeah,
because I've not seen it.
Wall.
Which one?
The walls that the British came in and destroyed. The great.
Oh no, we are not talking about that time. I'm talking about since 1960 when we got independence. Those ones it's a long history. We know where Africans have done a lot of things. I'm talking about since 1960 when other people started developing.
To my understanding, most of the engineers, the architects in Dubai are Nigerian, but obviously they're in Dubai and they're not in Nigeria for a number of reasons. So.
Yeah, and they feel like they have a better living standard, and our leaders don't help. They pressure them to leave the country. A politician in Nigeria recently promised his own people that he would take 4,000 of them to Europe to go and he will get a job for them in Europe. No program on how to get the resources back from them. Like you say whatever you like about America. If you're an American, you go overseas, you have to pay your tax to America. But we send our people, we spend the little money we have educating our people. They go and serve other people. And the only thing we hope that they do is send a little bit of money back home. Like in the UK alone, we've had about at least 150,000 Nigerians arrive in the last 3 years. That's a lot of our diaspora is growing. It sometimes it can be a good thing if as a people, if you can tap into it, it's growing. But so far, our leaders have not tapped into it at all. This president seems to be making the right noise. This Tinubu everybody hates right now is very, very beholden to the West. But sometimes he says some things that are very interesting. He talks about Nigeria's people coming, the diaspora coming back home. He talked about us needing to build our countries, that Nigeria should become a $3 trillion this in the economy. But is he going to do it? Many African leaders have been promising their people all kinds of stuff to buy time. They haven't done anything to change the predicament of the African this situation. To do it, personally, my priority is security. Because if you don't have security, to me, you're just building on sand. Everything you build, some other person is just going to come and take it. I always give this example. If you are going to work every day and you leave your door and window open, who says you're ever going to prosper in this world if you live like that? You will never prosper, because sooner or later they'll come and steal everything. And that is what happens in Africa repeatedly. Our African leaders have chosen not to protect their people, not to protect their heritage, not to even discourage their people to go overseas. I've not seen a Nigerian leader telling our people, stop going overseas. They've not even bothered saying that. They don't like, if you want to go, you go. One of them actually said, if you want to go, you go. There is money, we are going to train more people. That's their attitude.
Dennis, what's your take on all these things that are happening?
As far as the topic, or just because we're kind of
as far as the topic, especially to do with our unity and why you feel that we are not uniting or united.
I think it's part ego and also ignorance. I mean, and what I say, ego and ignorance. So, like, for example, with the topic, it's and I said this before. Really, this is ignorance. The only reason why, in my honest opinion, why specifically Black Americans are claiming to be Israelis now and Black Aboriginals to America is because they want to be attached to Israel and America, which are two of the most powerful countries in the world. That's the real reason why.
I really don't subscribe to that, because that's why I always say I do my own deductive reasoning, because Western people, they also have ignorant people. There are people that believe in aliens. There are people that believe in Bigfoot and all kinds of crazy stuff. You always have societies with all these things, and that's why I always say do deductive reasoning. If other people have ignorant people too, okay, then what else is missing? What are we missing?
And then when I say ego, it's Black people in America. They see how we're living. I mean, how we're living here in America. They see what's going on in sub-Saharan Africa, and it's just they don't want to be associated with that. So they're like, "Fuck it, we're indigenous to America."
That one I agree with. Now, who wants to associate with failure? You see, there's always people.
But to Niger, if you take away the safety nets, really the safety nets here in America, I mean, will we be better off?
No, you wouldn't be, but the safety net still exists nonetheless. See, Stalin, when he came to, I think not Stalin, sorry, it was Lenin. When he came to power, he wanted to free the masses because they used to have this serfdom. He wanted to free the masses so that they can all determine their fate and all that. You know what happened? When he came to power, what he discovered was that, okay, there are only a few elites that really know what is happening. And they became a dictatorship too. Because the mass of people don't care about these things. Not necessarily because they don't care about it, because their lives don't have enough space for it. They have to live. They have to live from the ground. They have to farm. They have to take care of their families. They have to do so many things. So they don't have space for that. And hence, you always have this elite class show up and fix things. And in the case of our own community too, we will have to do the job. If you expect all the 100% or 80% of us to come together and do that stuff, it's not going to happen. And somebody once on this panel said it takes 3% of a population to actually change the nation, and it's going to take some of the best minds, like people that have their eyes open, like yours and all the others, to come together and do stuff. You have to be organized and get stuff done, and when you get stuff done, the others will follow. It's how it works, and I don't expect them to sign up to something when we don't have any agenda for them to follow. What is the agenda
Can I
that the
chime
Bible
in?
have? Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Can I chime in? So this is what I want to say. I just think that we have to acknowledge what we're dealing with. I think that Black people around the world, we don't want to acknowledge we have an enemy at hand. When we acknowledge we have an enemy at hand, example being, like I had brought up Gaddafi, I say, look what happened to him when he tried to unite his people. It don't matter if he was Black or, he's not African. He tried to unite his people because he understood the enemy at hand, and he understood how important it was for him and his people to be united to be able to stand against the enemy. You have to be united. That's what you see what's going on over there in Asia. They say, oh, if you come when Trump was in office fussing with the North Korean president, if you touch him, we're not going to let you come invade none of our brothers anymore. If you touch him, you got to deal with all of us. And that's how it is. So when you recognize you're dealing with an enemy at hand, which Black people, you have an enemy, a common enemy at hand, the white man who wants to control the world. We cannot walk around and act like that's not happening out here in America. My people has been fighting and coming up here, coming up there, they boom, blow it down, boom, blow it down. And then they'll tell the people lies. They'll get on TV and tell them lies. Just like they lied with Gaddafi. Oh, he was doing this, he was doing that. Oh, this country got mass weapons. Come to find out, they don't have any damn weapons. So these people want to control the world. When you recognize that, then you have to move differently. You have to organize differently. You have to move differently. It does not mean that the people are lazy or dumb or stupid. You're dealing with an enemy that is treacherous, ruthless. And when you recognize that, then you start making moves and you make them differently. But yes, we can defeat the system that we live in under in America and in other parts of the world by working together.
Let me pass it to V Injola, then we're going to close out. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to greeting, sister. I appreciate what you're saying. I'm from Liberia myself. The question you brought up about Africans selling each other. This question is not something that for us is not something that we're running away from at all, because as the brother already explained from Ghana, there were a lot of different conflicts going on the continent between tribes. So even within a tribe, people sold each other if certain circumstances occurred. This is not something that's unusual about Africa or anywhere else in the world. This happens. It happened to us. It's unfortunate. The Europeans took advantage of that, saw us in disarray in every part of West Africa and Central Africa, and took advantage of that. That's what happens. We just have to rise up, get over the hurt, because we can't just live off that hurt and expect the same people and descendants of those people who put us into that, and even our own people that did that. We can't keep crying that out as if we're going to get some kind of a conference, a sit down, and then they're going to give us everything that we want. History doesn't work like that. So we're going to have to deal with these ugly things that happened in our past and figure out where we can go forward and not keep living in that past, because we're hurt. We got to get over that hurt.
I don't think it's living in the past. First of all, when we say reparations over here, we're talking about how can you not pay us reparation? It was our ancestors' labor that built this country. Do you know 95% of everything we use today in America, toilets, everything, refrigerator trucks, blood banks, was built by Black Americans, and half of it they stole. Half of it they couldn't claim because they were in slavery. Everything here was built by my people, including the White House and everything else. So when we say reparations, honey, that is ours to claim. Now they give reparations to everybody else who they did wrong. Why not to African Americans? Because it's by design. What I mean by design, they want to keep their multi-million-dollar prison system going by putting African American men in there, not their own people. They want to keep all different. They want to keep us poor so they can have this thing where you can start nonprofits and become rich off of Black poor people. This is all by design. Don't nobody make America's money. America make their own money. America can have This whole country could be lavish with beautiful neighborhoods for all different races of people, but it's not, because it's all by design. So when we ask for reparations, we're not begging. That is due to us. Our ancestors built this shit over here. We
Yeah.
invented everything. We will not be played like dumb idiots and be talking about something. Let's not talk about slavery anymore. No, we're gonna continue to talk about it. You
So
settle
You
since
know,
for
but
what
but the
Never
problem
forget.
is the
you
problem
settle
is
for
that
what
we're
they tell
asking.
you to settle for.
No. What we're doing is we're keeping ourselves in a state of asking the same people that oppressed us, asking them for reparations, as if we're hoping that their mindset is going to change. So we're hoping on them. We're still hoping on massa because we're hoping that they'll feel so bad or what they did to us that they'll kick us
I
down some
totally get
funds.
what you're
That's
saying.
not going to
I
happen.
get what I totally get what you're saying, because I always say I'm not one to go in the street with a sign talking about protesting to the white man who's actually got his children out there doing all the terrible shit going on. So what sense it make the protest to them? I get that, but still, we're gonna bring reparations forward, and we're not gonna let it be unknown or go unknown that we built this country and everything invented by us. We have to make that known. You don't have to give reparations if they don't want to, but we still need to make it known.
Yeah.
They will never
You
give
okay,
didn't build this
reparation. They will
country.
never give reparation until they know you are worthy of it. In other words, they know you can take it. They never give it. No, this world, nobody gives you anything until they know you are powerful enough to take it, and they will lose more if they don't give it
Thank
out.
you. Thank you.
And that is the
I
only
get
time they'll
that,
give
but
it.
That's true.
the point is, do not say my people should not bring up,
No,
even
no,
if
you
it's not
should bring
about
it up. I
reparations.
think it's a form of
Yeah.
soft power, if you
Yeah,
ask me.
even if it's
Yeah.
not about reparations, my people should make it known that we built this country. We invented everything in this country, toilets, just
The
everything,
Western
Okay,
the
world.
mailbox systems, all
okay.
that, built the roads, everything, honey.
Even with that, if we're not in control, we can say we invented everything. But if we're not in control right now, just saying that is not gonna it make us
there's
feel
no
good
power in it.
and make us feel that we were powerful once before. But we're not doing that
It
level of stuff right
reminds
now.
us.
It's bringing
It
up a case.
reminds us. Listen, you have to say it, because then the
Yeah.
people wake up and say, wait a minute, we did what? It reminds us. You have to keep that going. If
Yeah.
Black Americans don't keep that going and make that known, we'll really truly believe that we didn't do shit here, that we was just children of African slaves, and that's that. No, baby, it goes way
Yeah,
deeper.
but
The
the
Yeah.
one
problem
has
is
lied to you. The
the
enemy has
problem.
lied to you,
Yeah,
and he wants you to think that he and his children created this stuff. And that's not true, sweetie. We're going to make that known. We
yeah, but
created this
Never
shit
forget.
here.
yeah, but you know, I think you're the
But they
audience you're
also
talking
created in
to.
Europe, so to be saying it,
Yeah,
sometimes it has to have a kind of weight behind it. Like you have to be specific about some of the things that was done because they also created in Europe. In the end, I think both sides have a point. Like if you look at the anti-Semitic drive now, it has a level of soft power to shut people up about certain things, and they have
Mhm.
influence because of it. So I don't see any reason why you cannot use any means to push back. If it's reparation, because truthfully, they owe African Americans, they promised them, even officially, and they never delivered. So they owe them and they have to push for that. But the reality also, you have to also face reality that before they will do that, you have to be in a position of power and you have to know your power to change the country. If they feel that you are willing to tangle with them, that you could reduce that country to a civil war, they will give it to you because they know they don't want
It's
they
But
don't
they're
want
not
to
seeing
they don't
that
want to fight. They don't want to start
happen.
a massive fight in that
not.
country because if they start a fight, they are no longer going to be a superpower, are they? Like
It's
the
not.
Republicans do all the time.
It's not about reparations, though. It's just about making it known. If they give reparations, they give it. If they don't, they don't. But it still need to always be known that what African Americans did in this country, and every war they had in this country, African Americans participated. And like you said, when they had the Civil War here, the first Civil War, African Americans won that war for those white boys. They put African Americans on the front line. They won that war for those white boys, and they
It's not.
promised them
Is it
free.
really fair to be
One
saying that?
second,
Is
sir.
it
One
fair to be
second.
saying
One
that?
second. Let me finish. They promised them freedom and 40 acres, a mule and 40 acres that they reneged on. They didn't give it. We
but
have to always make it known
It's
who we
about
are in this
so
reparations. Yeah.
after
country.
you make it known, then what's the next step? Who's going to get the
Sweetie,
reparations?
my people been fighting in this country. My people still fighting today. That's what
We
I'm
didn't
trying to get
run.
you to
Yeah, but
understand. You
who's
African
from
gonna
a
Americans
different
fought for
who's
country.
both
gonna who's
My
sides.
gonna
You
people
know, African
still
Americans
fighting.
fought for both
The
sides in
fact
that
that
war.
Africans can come to the fact that Africans can come to America, you better understand this because of my people. We fought for y'all to be able to come here. What are you
You
talking
see,
about?
the
We fought for
Haitians
wait,
all
wait.
kind of
the
brown
Haitians fought?
If I
people.
can, real
Yeah,
quick.
the
If
Haitians
I
fought
can, real
for
quick,
us.
guys. Real quick.
Yeah, son, don't put my people down, baby. Don't do
No, no,
that.
no.
Nobody's putting your people down. You're
Miss
getting
Chantel,
emotional.
Miss Chantel. I must say this. You see, we can get into really circular arguments that
Thank you.
amount almost to nothing. Everything that you said, I can concur with to a large degree in terms of the pain, strain, and persistence that the African American has given to the world, not just to black people, but to the world. The whole world has witnessed what the African American is. Their whole world. Just don't get it twisted. Because you're there in America, you don't understand how we feel about Americans and the diverse communities in America. You have no idea of it. When you say that Africans who are presently coming into America are able to do that simply because of the African American. Whilst you may have a point, it becomes cyclical because you are us and we are you. There's no getting away from it. So
They don't see that.
I really dislike when somebody would say something like what you just said, because I've heard it before many times, and I think that America just pick up on Black Americans just pick up on certain pursuance with what the rhetoric is, and it's not accurate. You must understand that Africans, if we want to say Africans sold themselves, they were still African. When they got to the shores of America, they were African. As they began to suffer the pillory of the whites over there, they were still African. Whether or not they were confused about their Africanicity or not, that may be your confusion. But I'm telling you that you are more African, whether you like it or not, than you are an American. Simple.
But
But
regarding the
that's the way
point that they
we're.
were making, though, I think regarding their contribution, I think both sides have a point. I think there's a lot of confusion about this sometimes when some people say they invented a lot, they built America. Not they did those things, and I think they can be allowed to do those things, and that's why I don't discourage anybody to ask for reparation. But I also think that we should be focusing on what is most important: strengthening our groups and figuring out how to unite the groups. I really think that is an exercise that a lot of us have to indulge in, because I've been looking, I have not found a clear one other than the one I described. We really need to figure out a peaceful way and maybe even a legal way of doing these things. And so we all have a different way of looking at the struggle we are in. And one of us is probably going to have the answer that actually will get us to a better place. Maybe all of us, in our own ways.
It may take
And let me
persecution
say
and
this
uniting.
real quick.
So
In white America is constantly telling Black Americans, if you guys just leave the slave history alone, just let that go and come on, join with us. We'll give you all that you need. That's all we got to do is be quiet. Don't mention slavery again. Play like any of it ever happened. But we are not down with that. We're going to make it known who they are. And so
Yeah.
they're playing chess with us. They putting our own kind of people, you guys, Black foreigners that look like us, against us. Oh, they know how to play games, baby. You guys are not
yep.
aware of the mindset of these people,
We're
of
fully
these
aware.
these
We are fully
treacherous
aware.
people.
We are
Because,
fully
well,
aware.
sir, if
All right,
you
well,
was
hey guys,
aware, you wouldn't be.
we're about to close out. Hey, Chimamadu voting Democrat is not fighting. I agree. Everyone, thank you so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time, family. Dynasty Mirror Search for Who. Peace.
Wonderful.